Hello and welcome back to my channel What If Deku 2.0. Join us as we delve into the realms of fanfiction and fantasy, bringing you the best stories and discussions. Today, we're kicking off part 3 of our series, What If Quirkless Deku Had Omnitrix? If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more content in the future. The author of this story is Guardian-Sigil from fanfiction.net. All the relevant links are in the description. Feel free to say hello to the author on their profile. Now, let's dive into the fanfic. Things are not going well. 13 is tapping their foot watching as Lodestar struggles to levitate a swarm of swirling metal trash over his head. Come on, concentrate. The sad part is he really is. I am. Lodestar replies impatiently. His arms are shaking slightly from the tension of the magnetic waves he's producing. For the last week, 13 and Izuku have been training on Izuku's Biosavortion form. Their goal is to get Lodestar to compress his magnetism as to focus in on singular objects rather than generating an entire magnetic field that affects everything in the vicinity. You need to focus. The swarm of trash shakes violently as the magnetic wave begins to falter. I'm trying. The magnetic pulse begins to break apart. Some of trash manages to get loose and gets flung away. In the end, though, Lodestar can't hold it any longer and the horde of trash comes crashing down onto the beach below. Lodestar glares at the trash like it personally offended him, and in a roar of frustration, he releases a magnetic burst that blasts away several trash piles surrounding him. Luckily, 13 happened to be standing by a pile of tires. Thus, they were able to use them as a blockade. The pro hero steps out from their hiding spot, shaking their head in disapproval. The alien device blinks red. As it does, Izuku falls back onto the sand with a humph. 13 strides over as Izuku falls back, staring up at the few seagulls flying above. Their squawks kind of sound as if they're mocking him. And they might as well be, because Izuku's progress hasn't exactly been that remarkable all week. Unless you count failing every exercise this week remarkable. All because of the heavy weight on his heart. 13's head comes into his view, blocking out the seagulls. How are you feeling? Izuku gives his mentor a look and asks if they're being serious. Frustrated. That's obvious. I meant, what's bothering you? Izuku turns his head. He can feel sand grinding against his green locks. Nothing. I'm just kind of out of it. 13 sighs, crossing their arms. They're looking for a real answer. Be honest with me, Midoriya. I am a teacher. After all, I can tell that something's weighing on your mind. Izuku's cheek presses on the sand. He can't bother to look 13 in the eye. It's nothing, really. He's lying. Anyone can see that. But why? Something must have happened. Rather than call him out, 13 steps over Izuku's prone form and sits down next to him. They gaze out of the ocean silently, not speaking a word, just watching as the waves roll across the shore. The setting sun gives the view a magnificent hue of color. God, this beach would be beautiful if it wasn't so trashed. But it is getting better thanks to Izuku's efforts. At least now there are parts of the beach where they can sit on the sand without having to worry about shards of glass and nails. Izuku lays there waiting for 13 to speak. After a moment, the teen props himself up. Following 13's line of sight, he too watches the ocean. The two sit in silence, gazing out towards the warming light and soft ocean breeze. Izuku inhales the calming smell of the sea, letting it ease his frustration away. 13 takes a soft, soothing breath, releasing all of their tension. It's okay to be frustrated, just don't let it fester. They wait for Izuku to react before continuing. You don't have to tell me what's wrong, but everyone needs someone to confide in. Hopefully, this advice will get through to the boy. Sometimes it's good to get everything off your chest, to let it all out, and just by talking to someone you can ease your troubles. 13 looks over and finds Izuku watching them with a thoughtful expression. Do you get what I'm saying? The soft wind makes his hair sway as he thinks for his answer. He gets what 13's saying, but honestly, he's not so sure he can follow through with it. Either way, he quietly nods his head. 13 appreciates the answer thou. Take the weekend off, all right? Take it easy and figure out your feelings. It's never good to let them build up. And like that, they are back to enjoying the serene atmosphere. 13. HMP? Thanks. You're welcome. Inko leans over her plate as to get closer to her son, who's busy fumbling his food around his plate. How was your day, sweetie? Good, Mom. Izuku states rather bluntly without looking up from his distraction. What'd you do today? Train. There it is again, the uninterested and somewhat annoyed tone, and he's back to stirring his food around his plate. Inko's gaze falls to her own dish, feeling rather dejected. Izuku. She speaks gently, not wanting to upset her dear child. Is everything all right? Yeah. You are sure? I'm here if you want to talk. I know, Mom. With that, the two Midoriyas fall into a sullen silence, with only the clink of their plates and utensils making any sort of noise. Inko really looks like she wants to say something, but she hesitates and allows the stillness of the room to overtake them. An excited smile stretches across her face as a great idea pops into her head. With an excited smile, she stretches her hand out. She activates her quirk, and a few moments later 2 letters float towards her from the living room. She grabs the letters from midair. These came in today. She holds out the letter that hasn't been opened out towards Izuku. It's a letter from your father. That gets his attention. Although he doesn't show it, his eyes shift towards the letter, observing the crinkled edges and somewhat faded scribble of their address. He actually sent 2, but this one is for you. I've already read mine. Oh, that man, he's such a charmer. Inko holds the side of her face, reminiscing about the good old days when they were both young. For some reason, the disappointment in Izuku's heart grows as he hesitantly grabs the letter. At least she has fond memories of him. It's such a shame his job sent him away for so long. It's been a decade now. Yeah, a shame and convenient that his job pulls him away just after the doctor identified me as Quirkless. But I guess that's to be expected when you work for the Self-Defense Force. Of course, he has to work for his family rather than be here with them. I've already written my response. I even mentioned how hard you're training nowadays. He'll be so proud. Would he? Oh, I know you. Should tell him about your quirk finally awakening. Izuku's breath hitches and his grip nearly tears through the letter. That'll really surprise him. It sure did for me. To think you were just a late bloomer. I'm so happy for you, Izuku. Even though he appreciates the sentiment, he can't deal with this right now. Izuku springs out of his chair, startling his mom. Thanks for dinner, Mom. Oh, sure, honey. Without looking at her face to gauge her reaction, he unceremoniously grabs his plate before trudging off for the kitchen. Inko is internally panicking. Did she upset him somehow? Is everything okay? Yeah, Izuku dumps out his leftovers and heads for the sink. I'm just tired. Oh, well, all right. Inko grabs her plate and follows. Why don't you just leave the dishes there? I'll take care of it. Izuku nods and walks off for his room. All right. Inko watches in quiet remorse as Izuku walks away from her, his head hung low, and the letter being harshly crumbled into his fist. Clenching towards her heart, she turns to stare longingly at an old photo hanging on the wall. It's one of her husband who's holding up a baby Izuku in his arms. She holds up the photo, staring longingly for her significant other, Hisashi Midoriya. She takes a moment to examine his handsome features. She can't help but notice how much her boy has grown to look so much like his father. The resemblance is uncanny, the main differences obviously being age, Hisashi's hair being black, their eyes with Hisashi's being brown, and the fact that Izuku's face is much rounder. But that's as far as the differences go. They both have similar freckles speckled on their cheeks, unruly hair that can't be tamed no matter how much Inko tried to comb it back, and that special glint in their eyes that just radiates cheerfulness and goodwill. Inko strokes a finger across her husband's smiling face, hoping that he'd return. Oh, how I wish you were here. You would know what to do. Izuku falls back leaning against his bedroom door. The room is dark since he doesn't bother to turn on the lights. His mind mixing between anger, regret, and depression, and all of those feelings are now focused in on the wrinkled letter. Izuku lumbers over to his closet. Pausing slightly, he slowly swings open the door. There's nothing out of the ordinary in there, except for Izuku's collectible All Might hoodies. However, tucked in the corner behind a strategic pile of laundry is a little shoebox. Getting onto his knees, Izuku digs it out from its tomb. The box is old and covered in dust, but despite that it actually has some weight to it as the contents shift inside. He holds the letter, his finger playing with the folds, but there's no real attempt to open it. Proud of me, huh? He gently takes off the lid, revealing a stockpile of old, unopened letters, each one written out to the same person and address. I have to wonder if that's even true. He has no intention of ever opening or answering those accursed letters. They're just sad attempts for that man to say he has some sort of connection with him. But they don't. It's even gotten to the point that Izuku doesn't even register the few photos that there are of the man. But why should he? He took off a little after reality tried to crush his hopes and dreams. He's just using work as an excuse to not admit that his own son is a quirkless weakling. He drops the letter, adding it to the ever-growing number of unread questions, stories, and possible connections with his father. With the deed done, Izuku places the box back into its hiding place and hoping that his mother never finds it. Izuku scoffs at himself. God, I never learn. After all, lying and keeping secrets from those he cares about is what got him into this state of mind to begin with. Just look at the secrets and lies he told. He lied and betrayed his only friend. He lied about his quirk awakening late to his own mother. He even has the gall to keep the truth of it all away from her even now. Maybe the universe just hates me or something. Things, after all, have been pretty shitty all week, and not just from his lack of progress during training, but at school too. His grades haven't been too hot this week, but that's the least of his concerns. What's really weighing on him is Henzu's absence. He never showed up for class the entire week. Izuku even contacted Henzu's foster home, but they didn't seem too concerned since Henzu rarely spends any time there. He tried calling him too, but Henzu's phone is no longer in service, so no dice. In full honesty, he's not going to put in a police report for several reasons. 1. He already betrayed Henzu once, so he can't bear to rat him out to the police. 2. Henzu has some experience with avoiding police. That should have been a red flag, but he was the only one that was nice to him. And 3. It may draw unwanted attention to himself and, more importantly, the alien watch. So, he has even more secrets and lies to keep. God, I have a problem. I guess this is how things are going to be from now on. He grips the watch, remembering the choking feeling of Henzu trying to pry it from his chest. I'll just have to deal with these issues myself. Ping. Izuku's eyes snap up at attention, his eyes quickly scanning the room. But there's no other soul in sight. What was that? Ping. That ping is familiar to him. Oh, it's my phone. Yup, it was a text that snapped him out of his daze. There are 2 texts on his phone. The first text was a simple greeting with Ochako stating that it's in fact her contacting him. The second text was her explaining how she wants to explore more of Musutafu, but she'd like someone local to guide her, and the only person she knows is him. Izuku is not sure how to respond. Should he say he's too busy? He's not available? No. Those are just more excuses and lies. He can't be doing this for every single thing. Besides, it might be good to get out of the house for a while. Especially because his mom is going to be even more attentive to him after his episode. After weighing the pros and cons, Izuku decides to accept the invitation. Ochako is quick to respond with a resounding great and smiley face emoji. They agree to meet up tomorrow at the train station. That makes Izuku sweat a little, his mind flashing back to previous events. Once all of that is set, Izuku flops onto his bed staring up at the blank ceiling. Maybe he should grab a new All Might poster. While he's out, he has a great space for it. Trying to distract himself, Izuku pulls up his phone to read up on some of the latest hero activities. Looks like Kamui Woods is chasing after a thief that raided a Hero Commission transport vehicle. I wonder what was inside. Damn, that was close. A shifty silhouette props open a window of an abandoned warehouse that contains nothing but large crates, some heavy machinery, and a number of pests scurrying about the dust and grime. They swing their leg over the ledge and into the warehouse from atop a pile of crates, and from there they jump down to the ground. This person approaches a single table, the only item that isn't covered in a layer of dust, and conveniently has the only light source hovering above it as the only working lamp swings above it. They are a woman, one in their early 20s. She has dark maroon hair and pale skin. Her lips have been applied with black lipstick that matches her brown jeans and gothic black jacket with its spikes and skull insignias on each shoulder. Her piercing and the spikes of her jacket sheen in the light. On her side is a large brown duffel bag, which is clearly holding something large and bulky. "Ha! Oh, Rojo, you've done it again." Rojo praises herself as she drops the heavy bag onto the table, letting it clang against the hard metal surface. She really did a good job. She not only was able to rob a heavily armored transport vehicle from the Hero Commission, but she managed to escape scot-free. Well, mostly her favorite blaster got scrapped by that human tree guy. Damn, it was a costume job, too. This thing better have been worth it. Rojo opens the bag before lifting up the contents. She glides her hand across the slightly bent surface of the heavily damaged hover drone. The drone is heavily damaged. Its head is bound to its body by wires. An insectoid arm dangles from its side, and the outer shell is heavily dented. Apparently, it's part of one of the rumored robots that attacked some mall along with some giant monsters or whatever. The sight of the item makes Rojo's heart pump. This will hopefully give her the edge she needs. For you see, it's all part of her quirk. Her quick attachment allows her to attach technology to her body. It does have its limits. For example, just because she attaches a phone to her arm doesn't mean she can use it at will. She would still need to physically type into the phone to make a call. She's also limited. She can only attach tech to the surface of her body, and even then, she has to be sparse with it, or it'll hinder her maneuverability. That's kind of why she's upset about losing her blaster. She had it embedded into the top of her arm and a special activation switch on her hand that acted as a trigger. This way she wouldn't have to be holding the gun, and she keeps her hands free. But Kamui Woods latched onto the blaster, thus forcing her to release it so she could escape. That's why this score better be worth it. Apparently, this robot was able to hold its own against the mutant monsters, and sure, it may have gotten obliterated by All Might, but so what? It's not like she plans on taking him on any time soon. Either way, if she can figure this thing out, she might just change her luck. But first she has to make sure it can actually power on. She lugs over a car battery, and after some tinkering, she's able to successfully attach the robot to the battery. Come on, come on. She tries and tries, but the robot just won't activate. Damn it, Rojo yells out in anger, slamming her fist onto the table, denting it slightly. By some miracle, the orange-red eyes blink to life as electricity surges through its components. Yes, haha. The drone makes strange sounds as it tries to move and access its missing limbs. Rojo grabs and pokes at it. Now what is it you can do? Rojo watches curiously as the drone shakes and shifts, and then suddenly, without warning, wires and cables burst out from its body and latch onto Rojo's arms and torso. Whoa, what the hell? Rojo tries to step away, but the drone refuses to release her. Let go of me. She struggles to free herself as the cables tighten around her. Acting on instinct, she activates her quirk, attachment. The effect is immediate. Suddenly, the entire drone seemingly jumps up and latches onto her like a metal parasite. Rojo panics, screaming and flailing her arms about to get the thing off of her, but all attempts fail. The husk of the drone seems to meld onto her body. She can feel as electricity and a powerful headache strikes her, making her scream out in both pain and shock. The cold, strange metal claws at her skin as it imbs itself. Finally, after a few grueling minutes, the pain is over. Rojo is freaked out, breathing frantically, holding herself up against a crate, trying to regain herself. She grabs her head, trying and failing to stop a migraine. Glad that's all her hand. What the hell is wrong with her hand? It's not her normal pale tone, but dark red with long metallic fingers that look like they can tear through a car. After some internal panicking, she rushes over where she knows there's a mirror. She finds it behind a junked forklift. She throws off the blanket that's covering it, and what she sees nearly sends her jumping back in fright. It's her she's looking at. She can tell right away, but she's drastically different from before. Her entire body has been transmuted to a shade of red. She has not 2 but 4 red cybernetic eyes, and strange red orbs protruding from her shoulders. Running along her arms are sharp gleaming blades. She's buffer too. She can feel how much her muscle mass has increased, so much so that her jacket and pants have torn around her arms and legs. Even her feet have expanded to the point that they ripped through her boots. What the hell? She grabs at her face, trying to comprehend what had happened to her. Then it hits her, and it makes her smile. This had turned out better than expected. She's been upgraded. For once her quirk was actually useful, and whatever this robot was, it has power, strange, unexplainable power, and she loves it. This is so great. She eyes the forklift. Smiling, she slashes at the vehicle, creating a huge gash into its side while also pushing back. This is so goddamn great. I wonder what else I can do. In response, the red orbs on her shoulders move upward, propped up by metal limbs. The orbs glow red before beams of light shoot out, burning away at part of the ceiling. Rojo grins with mad amusement as she traces the scorched marks left behind. With this power, I can get my biggest score yet. She glides her long claws long body as the orbs retract themselves. Look out, Japan, because Rojo's going to have some fun. Izuku is so not ready for this. Currently, he's in downtown Musutafu waiting by a water fountain surrounded by crowds of people. He's fidgeting in place, pulling at his collar. His hands are clammy with nervousness. If it weren't for the fact that he's in public right now, he would be having a full-blown meltdown. The reason being is a girl. It didn't hit Izuku until this morning that he had agreed to meet up with a girl. He agreed to take Ochako out by himself, with nobody else, in public. Man, he's so nervous, so much so that he begins to spout out his concerns under his breath. Holy shit, this is happening. Should I have combed my hair? Did I overdress? I mean, it's just a black polo and khakis, but still. Oh, no. What if I'm underdressed? What do I do? What do I say? I don't even know where to take her. What would we even talk about? Maybe about heroes, the weather, life-changing questions, and... Hi, Deku. Aha! Izuku nearly falls backward in surprise. Ochako Uraraka looks a bit worried. Izuku's response kind of startled her. Are you okay? Izuku tries to save some of his already little dignity by standing up straighter and fixing the hem of his shirt. Why, yeah, I'm all good. He takes a moment to examine her. She's wearing a lavender shirt with a teal skirt and black leggings, along with pink Converse and a matching drawstring bag on her back. That's good. Ochako leans forward, smiling up at him, pumping her fists. She's so close. Thanks again for accepting my invitation. Oh, it was no problem. Yeah, well, it would have really been boring by myself, so thanks anyway. Ochako claps her hands together, smiling with anticipation. Now, what do you say for getting this show on the road? Oh, yeah, sure. Let's do that. Ochako's smile brightens in appreciation. She twirls around and heads for the nearest shop that had caught her interest. Izuku tails behind her before matching pace with her. She gives him a cheery grin, to which he returns in a similar fashion, albeit sheepishly. Maybe this won't be so bad after all. Master, One of the humanoid drones in red and black armor reports to his ship's commander, who is still regaining his health from their battle. We are receiving a combined signal from the planet. The commander takes a minute to breathe through his breathing apparatus. Explain. One of the drones has somehow merged with one of Earth's life forms. The drone types away into a table-like device, pulling up more information. We are receiving one combined signal, and that signal is on the move. An interesting development. Perhaps one head is better than two. Look out. What is that? Ah. The sounds of lasers being fired out in tandem can be heard emanating from within the jewelry store. It's a small store located in a less populated part of town, which means not a whole lot of heroes patrol this area thanks to the lack of news coverage. And that is unfortunate for some of the local shops such as this one. People flee in fear from the jewelry store as lasers fly at them. Thankfully, none connect. Rojo is grinning. She's very happy with how easy this job is. All she had to do was give a mean glare to make them run away, albeit the lasers shooting out from her shoulder blasters did help. She aims one of the lasers, protruding from her shoulder, down at the glass display. She fires out a laser melting away the top part of the display case. Her smile widens as she reaches in and grabs the jewels inside. She opens her palm admiring the very expensive gems, wondering how much they'll fetch for. Her thoughts are interrupted when a high-pitched sonic wail pierces through her head. Rojo groans in pain, holding her head before falling to her knees. The high-pitched sonic wail ceases but is replaced by a baleful voice. Listen to me, whoever you are. She wobbles as she keeps to pick herself up while still holding her aching head. Where are you? Who are you? She's able to fight through the receding pain so she can stand back up. How'd you get in my head? She frantically observes her surroundings looking for the culprit. Looks. No questions, the voice screams out in irritation. You are here to serve me. That makes Rojo scowl. Guess again. I work for me and only me. The high-pitched sonic wail returns, but this time is far worse. The wailing is louder and a shock of pain courses through her entire body, causing her to keel over, screaming out in pain. Mercifully, the shocking stops rather quickly, but the threat is clear. You now possess power you could have never imagined. The voice continues to echo through her ears. Fulfill my demand and I will give you even more power, more technology for you to equip. However, if you fail me, then I will turn you to dust. The proposal is tempting. This voice, whoever it is, must be the creator or owner of that robot she stole. And look at what one broken drone did to her. What would happen if she got a hold of more tech just like it? She could be unstoppable. So, what do you want? She can almost hear the voice smirk despite not seeing their face. Only one thing. A piece of valuable technology missing from my possession, and luckily you are already programmed to find it. In that moment, a visual display like that of a video game appears in her vision. It already appears to be tracking the item in question. Now go and get me my Omnitrix. Ah, what a cute little playground. A Choco gushes at the public playground just a few yards from their perch on a park bench. The recreational area is decently sized with trees, large playground sets, a volleyball court, gazebos, and even a pond for ducks and fish. Izuku figured that he should show Ochako some of Musatafu's main attractions. And what else than the local park? Izuku visibly relaxes in his seat. Yeah, it's pretty nice here. It's a great place to hang out outside, get some exercise, and think. Ochako nods in agreement, watching as a mother duck leads her young towards the water. No doubt, this will be perfect when I eventually have to move here. Or I should say, if I have to move here. Heh. Izuku grimaces with tension. Although the UA entrance exam is still a way off, they still have a lot of work to do. Far more work before they can even consider passing the exam. Oh, yeah. You plan on taking the UA entrance exam, too, right? Sure do. Ochako sheepishly rubs the back of her head, trying not to look overconfident. But I have to admit that I'm still pretty nervous about it. Yeah, same. An idea pops into his head. Oh, hey, you're Araka. What's up, Deku? It makes him flinch when she says Deku, but she doesn't seem to notice. That's good because he really doesn't want to start feeling depressed anytime soon. I had some questions about your quirk. Would you mind answering some of them? He holds up his hero analysis for the future #13 notebook for Ochako to see, making her wonder where he was keeping that thing anyway. Ochako is slightly put off, but she sees no harm in it. Sure, why not? With the go-ahead, Izuku begins his interview. So, your quick, zero gravity allows you to make anything you touch weightless, correct? Yes, but there's more to it than that. The gravity manipulator holds out her open palm, displaying the tips of her fingers. They somewhat remind the greenette of paw pads on a cat. It's my fingers, all 5 have to make contact with whatever it is I want to float. Admittedly, there's also a limit before I get nauseous. She looks a little embarrassed admitting that. It's really nothing that special. Izuku can't help but feel somewhat offended, not for what she said, but for what she implied, that her quirk isn't good enough, that she isn't good enough. Are you kidding? Wha? You have an amazing quirk. With a quirk like that, you'd be a key player in rescue operations, especially in disaster zones. You could float rubble away from civilians. Heck, you can even float large, heavy objects at villains to use them as weapons. Ochako blinks, not really sure how to take all this praise. Yeah, I guess you're right. She twiddles her thumbs, not sure how to feel. But it's nowhere as versatile as your quirk. What does it do exactly? Now it's Izuku's turn to blink. Yeah, he totally overlooked that part. Oh, yeah, I guess I never fully explained it, did I? He already knows this will leave a bad taste in his mouth, but he can't tell her the truth. So, for now, he'll use the cover story both 13 and him worked out. My quirk is called One-Man Army. It allows me to reconstruct my DNA so I can transform into about 9 different forms. Oh, and each one has its own abilities, weaknesses, and I think they somewhat alter my personality a little bit. Izuku chuckles thinking about Ditto's sass, Forearm's confidence, and XLR-8's excitable demeanor. Ochako stares. That's mind-blowing. How could one person be so lucky to be born with a quirk like that? Wow, now that's amazing. Almost seems unfair. She can't help but sulk about her own usefulness. Izuku can seemingly sense the doubt she has in herself. After all, he has a lot of experience with that. I wouldn't say that after all I have a time limit of when I can use my quirk, and that includes a recharge time. Oh, I also have to use this special device. He taps a finger against the bulky watch. To help me activate my quirk. It also acts as a timer, letting me know when I can transform and even helping me select which form to take. Ochako eyes the watch and Izuku has a hard time gauging her thoughts. Please buy that explanation. Ochako shrugs, figuring that it makes sense. Nearly all quirks have some kind of drawback after all. Well, except for maybe All Might's quirk, whatever it is. Well, it's still a pretty awesome quirk though, right? Yeah, it is amazing. This watch has an impossible ability, but yet it's sitting on his powerless wrist. But sometimes I think this power is more trouble than it's worth. After all, it did cost him a friendship. Ochako notices the change in Izuku's demeanor. His shoulders are sagged, and his eyes have a far-off look. Hey, Deku. Izuku tenses, but he slumps over trying to look calm. Are you okay? I'm fine. That's all the brunette needs to hear. No, you're not, she states with all seriousness. He looks away, trying to avoid eye contact. Ochako leans forward, trying to keep his attention. I can tell when people are trying to keep their problems to themselves. My parents often try to do the same thing, especially when the bills start to build up. And I can tell that it's weighing you down. Ochako silently assesses him. He's clearly trying to think of what to say, and she doesn't want to interrupt his thought process. Honestly, she might be pushing him too far. They don't really know each other that well. Heck, this is only their second time interacting with each other. So, he really doesn't owe her answers, but she can't just let this sit. He's clearly hurting, and if she can help, then she will. Izuku's astonished she saw right through him. Then again, he was never very good at hiding his emotions. But what can he say? Tell her that he's one of the sole keepers of some ground-shattering secrets, aliens, the plumbers, and this powerful watch. How is he supposed to explain his feelings while also withdrawing information? He remembers how 13 also tried to help him by getting him to converse. He remembers their advice, that sometimes talking to someone can help ease one's pain. So, maybe he can talk about something, talk about what's really plaguing his mind. There have been some things bothering me recently. He admits. His eyes hesitate to meet Ochako's. The round-faced girl shifts from her spot, situating herself, allowing Izuku to know that he has her full, undivided attention. Izuku prepares himself, taking a breath, trying to ease his worries. "Do you remember Henzu Uichi?" Ochako nods. "Yeah, your friend from the mall." "Yeah, well, we sort of got into a fight, and now Izuku can feel tears begin to form. So he looks away slightly as to not let Ochako notice. We're no longer on speaking terms." Izuku presses a hand over his heart, remembering the ripping away sensation when Henzu pried on the watch. The pain almost seems unbearable now thanks to the betrayal and shame he feels. Ochako notices the change in Izuku's emotional state. "I'm so sorry. Are you all right?" "I'm fine physically, but emotionally I'm not." He takes a shaky breath. God, why is this so hard? A bit of tears starts to drip from his eyes. He runs his hands together, trying to keep himself together. He was about to do something that we'd both regret, and I had to stop him. He begins to sniffle. He runs his arm across his face in a poor attempt to wipe away his tears. "I know I did the right thing, but it hurts." "Why does it hurt so much?" The dam broke. Tears streaming down his face, he hides his head in his arms, trying not to let Ochako see him. "Why does it hurt so much? I did the right thing. I did what a hero should, but I lost a friend, the only friend I've ever known or had. And the worst part." He's shaking while festering in a pit of melancholy and regret. "The worst part is that I caused all of it." He's having a hard time speaking between his tears and sniffs. "I lied to him, and so that propelled him to do it. If I had been honest from the start, then we'd still be friends. And none of this would have happened." Izuku wails out, throwing his head down in defeat, giving up on trying to hold back his emotions, allowing the tears to flow unhindered. Ochako isn't sure what she could say to make him feel better, so she doesn't say a thing. She shifts over, placing a gentle hand on the boy's back, letting him know that he's not alone in this. Izuku remains in a heaping mess as he lets his tears run their course. After a few minutes, he finally calms down enough to wipe his face clean. Izuku is able to compose himself and get his breathing under control. "Thanks, Yoraka. Sniff sorry for dumping all of that on you." "It's okay." Ochako keeps her hand on his shoulder, allowing him to lean on her slightly. "Just tell me, do you feel better now?" Izuku thinks about, and honestly, he does feel a lot lighter and somewhat refreshed now. "Yeah, I do. It felt really good to get that off my chest." That makes Ochako smile, both for Izuku's emotional health and the fact that she was able to help him in a small way. Izuku can't help but smile, too. He really does feel a whole lot better. I guess 13 was right after all. Sometimes it is good to just talk to someone. Even if it doesn't solve the issue, it does help to calm my emotions. *GRRRRR**. What was that? Izuku flails his head about, looking for the source of the growl. *GRRRRR**. Ochako covers her mouth, trying to stop herself from outright laughing in his face. PFT. Izuku hears that. He spins towards her, his eyes wide and nervous. His expression is what sets Ochako off into a fit of laughter. As Ochako tries and fails to hold back her laughter, Izuku stares at her as if she's gone mad, only for another growl to resonate from his stomach. Oh, it was me. The realization make Izuku want to crawl into a hole for a little away, at least until the embarrassment wears off. I think that's a sign for us to have lunch. Ochako manages to take a breath, clearing her eyes of tears. Sounds good. Any place in mind? Feeling like he regains some dignity, Izuku stands up. There's a great restaurant I know of not too far from here. Sounds good. Ochako follows his example. Lead the way. And with that, the two teens make their way out of the park and towards the downtown area. Rojo is frustrated, to say the least. She's still trying to understand all the strange symbols showing up on her visual display. The only comprehensible icon on her display is that of a lock-on symbol that has her tracing it with her eyes. The target symbol is moving across the screen, but she can't see or even tell how close the Omnitrix is. So, to help locate it, she climbed onto the tallest building she could find in the area. Now, where is it? She scans the area until finally the target symbol moves towards the open street and locks onto a black watch with a green hourglass symbol on it. There you are. Meanwhile, Izuku and Ochako stroll through the street, passing by quiet stores, services, and a small number of pedestrians. Ochako leans in close, staring in awe at the green glowing watch wrapped around Izuku's wrist. Whoa, so what's that one do? Izuku can't help but chuckle. He's currently walking Ochako through his arsenal of transformations by displaying their silhouettes on the watch's dial. I call this one Ripjaws. Basically, I become a tall fishman with razor-sharp teeth and claws. Haha, I bet it's hilarious to see. Izuku winces in embarrassment. I wouldn't hold my breath. He grins awkwardly, hoping his joke was somewhat funny. It works in a way, because Ochako spit-aches in response. PFT, was that a joke? She tries and fails to hold back her laughter, making Izuku slouch in humiliation. It was that bad, huh? No. Ochako waves off his concern. It was good, just need to work on your delivery. Izuku is able to smile, appreciating the advice, but feeling self-conscious for even having to be given advice at all. I'll try. A moment of silence falls over them as they continue their trek. Hey, you're Araka? Ochako stops, blinking in curiosity. Yes, Deku. I never asked. But, oh God, is he nervous. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. Why is he asking this now? Is he trying to start a conversation? Or what? Sensing her confusion, Izuku clarifies. What I mean is, how are you doing after the mall trip? Mall trip? She takes a moment to think about what he means, and when she makes sense of it, a feeling of dread fills her stomach. Oh, yeah, that trip. She's clearly become uncomfortable, Izuku notices, but he's unsure what to do about it. He's too afraid of accidentally upsetting her. He attempts to reach out to her, but his hand shakes so badly with nervousness that it's slow to get there. His hand never reaches her shoulder to comfort her, though. The day in the mall, when I really think about it, it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. The BLD drains from Izuku's face. Ochako cradles her stomach as if she's going to hurl as the images of mutant animals and a deranged doctor flow through her head. It was terrifying. We could have been killed. Tears start to leak out from her eyes. We shouldn't have gone after the villain. We should have never even fought those monsters. She grabs at her eyes, trying to stop the inevitable stream of tears to break through. I can't bear the thought if one of us had died, and what that would mean for those we care about, and like that the dam breaks and tears pour out as Ochako chokes on her regret. Izuku is beyond stunned, but mostly he feels guilty. Guilty because it was him that dragged her into it. It was him that nearly got her killed. It was him that nearly cost her everything. I'm sorry. Ochako gives a harsh sniff, wiping her nose with her arm. Why are you sorry? It was all my fault. I led you and Henzu into that fight. I was the one that risked our lives, and I am so sorry for putting you through that. That's right, he's the one at fault, and he truly regrets involving them in his theatrics. But in all honesty, he doesn't regret what they accomplished. In full confidence I'm obliged to say that I don't regret what we did. Ochako's eyes widen in shock. How could he be so insensitive? Realizing how badly he worded that, Izuku continues. What I mean is that I regret forcing you to action, but I don't regret nor am I ashamed that we were able to save lives that day. He states this like the fact it is, full of confidence and conviction. We saved a lot of good innocent people that day. His eyes lock onto the brunettes. We were heroes. He gives her the most comforting smile he can offer. Ochako inhales sharply, even though she still feels like she's going to break down from the experience. She can't help the sense of pride and gratification she feels as well when she really thinks about it. A tiny soft smile just barely begins to form on her face. A woman's voice interrupts in a sarcastic tone of voice. "Aw, ain't this cute?" Both teens look forward and instantly alarm bells are ringing in Izuku's head. Something's not right about this woman. Her features are off, but they're familiar, and then it hits him. The alien drone, is she one of them? Ochako also senses something off. She can't help but find something familiar about this person. Who are you? Me? I was a nobody, but now, Rojo smirks, flexing her metallic claws. I can be whatever I want, and I want to be powerful. Well, there goes the possibility that she's friendly. Izuku and Ochako take a step back, ready to run if need be. Izuku leans forward and positions his hand over the watch. I guess she's not an alien robot then. She must have merged with one somehow. Maybe it's her quirk. Rojo notices Izuku's hand hovering over the watch, reminding her of her mission. But I can only do that if you hand over the Omnitrix. That throws Izuku off. The what? Ochako looks over towards the greenette. What's she talking about? Don't play dumb, Rojo snaps, annoyed with their reactions. The red plates on her shoulders move upward and begin to buzz as a laser begins to charge. Now are you going to hand it over, or will I have to take it from your melted corpse? She sticks her hand out, ready for these kids to willingly hand over what she's looking for. Ochako turns to him, worry written across her face, looking for an answer. This is bad, Izuku grimaces. What's he supposed to do? What is she even talking about? What could she possibly want from them? Rojo is losing patience. She needs the Omnitrix in exchange for more technology. Okay, kid. Time's up, give me the Omnitrix. She stomps forward, standing next to a light pole. She swings her arms, slashing through the steel with her razor spines on her arms. Or I'll slice off your arm to get it. The light pole tips over, crashing onto the street with a loud clang. Arm? What is she? Izuku slowly peers down at his wrist as realization dawns on him. She's referring to the alien watch. No, he can't allow her to take it. If someone like her would to have control over this device, it could be catastrophic. Who knows what mayhem she'll cause or how many people she'll harm. One thing is clear though. He'll do what he can to stop her from getting it. Izuku grips the Omnitrix, ready to defend it. If you want it, he grips the Omnitrix, disappearing in a flash of green light. You're going to have to pry it from my cold, dead hands. Forearms flexes, raising his fists as to exaggerate his point. Nailed it, he thinks smugly, happy that he was able to get a quip in. Ochako gasps silently at Izuku. Is he crazy? They should run and call the police, maybe find a hero to handle this. Rojo is taken aback by this development. That damn voice should have told her about this kid's quirk. Whoa, hey, what the hell just happened? Forearms grins. Simple, I buffed up. Tisk, funny guy. Well, I'm more than willing to accommodate. Rojo raises her claws, positioning herself like that of a beast ready to pounce. Let's dance, big boy. And with that, Rojo leaps into action. She's fast. In less than a second, she's cleared over half the distance between them, her arms stretched to the sides as to ready slashing attacks. Forearms, noticing the outstretched claws, readies to defend himself. By some odd coincidence, his experiences with Bakugo as well as analysis heroes and their battles over the many years have given Izuku a good, albeit inexperienced battle sense. But as of now, they are paying off, seeing as his prediction was correct. As she approaches, Rojo draws back her left arm before lunging it forward towards the red alien. Using his bulky forearms easily parries the attack. Rojo swipes with her other claw, but it's effortlessly blocked. Now that both her attack and defense are down, Forearms uses his two lower arms to grab onto Rojo's arms. "Damn!" Rojo snarls, trying but failing to pull away thanks to Forearms' grip. "Let go of me." "Sure thing." Forearms swings his body, pulling the robotic villain along with him. "There you go." He throws her around, both him and Ochako, towards the upper floor of a nearby building. Rojo bounces off the brick wall before landing with a loud crash onto the hard street below. She doesn't move. Thinking they're fine, Forearms takes a moment to check on Ochako. Her face is written in worry and nervousness, her eyes glued to the still form of the villain. "You're Araka," she flinches, drawing her attention towards the hulking mass of muscle. "Go ahead and—" Ochako gasps as Izuku scowls when they realize that Rojo is fine. As she stands up, Forearms takes note of the fact that there's not a single scratch on her. She doesn't even look fazed by being thrown at a building. "You think you're hot stuff? You think that thanks to your quirk then that makes you some kind of hero, don't ya?" Although she's fine physically, it's clear to anyone that she's more than pissed. "Hate to break it to you, but with my new power," her fingers begin to shift, becoming thinner and notably sharper. "Not only will I be taking the Omnitrix, but I'll make sure to hurt you so bad that you won't even be able to hold a pencil." Her newly formed claws sheen in the light of the day. They are twice as long as they were before. They are more akin to blades. "Prepare yourself for a world of pain." She runs forward, swinging her blades wildly with no real technique or plan other than to tear through the kid's hide. Fearing for not only his life but Ochako's, Forearms grabs the brunette before jumping backwards, just barely avoiding Rojo's attack. She doesn't let up though, as she chases after her prey, who has little to no time to defend himself as he continues to dodge attack after attack. Forearms, using one arm to secure Ochako, does his best to parry, dodge, and defend from the onslaught. Luckily, this alien's hide is tougher than one would think, so not many of the slashes actually pierce through the skin, thankfully. However, human flesh is a different story. One wrong move and he risks Ochako's life, and if he doesn't finish this or get them away in time, he'll revert back to human and it'll for sure be over for them both. Ochako is terrified. This villain really has her on edge. All she wanted was a peaceful afternoon, one that doesn't involve monsters, robots, or villains. But why? Why is this happening? What the heck is she after? And why? Why aren't I doing anything? Forearms dodges another slash. Acting fast, he grabs Rojo's wrist, and then he flings her into a light pole. The light pole bends as the villain is slammed into it. Deku is so amazing. He's scared, I know that, but he's still able to stand and fight. And here I am terrified out of my mind. Unable to help, Rojo quickly springs back up and continues her assault, but this time Forearms is able to counter with his own punches, while using his body to shield Ochako. "I'm a hindrance. He's only trying to defend me." Rojo manages to get a clean strike to Izuku's chest, making him wince as he stumbles backwards. "I'm slowing him down." Rojo lands a solid punch to Forearms' gut, making him keel over, wheezing from the blow. "Not so tough now, are ya?" While bent over, Forearms latches on to Rojo's leg, lifting her up. He then swings her downward, slamming her into the ground again and again until he launches her away. The robotic woman skids across the ground, the sound of metal scraping across the concrete accompanies her. With a small moment of reprieve, Four Arms finally puts Ochako down. She wobbles on her feet, her nerves now allowing her to keep her balance. Uraraka, go and call for help. Ochako looks somewhat relieved but still very much worried. Why you sure? Four Arms nods his head. Yes. While those two have a quick strategy meeting, Rojo leaps back onto her feet. Seeing that his opponent is back on their feet, Four Arms readies himself to continue. Meanwhile, Ochako remains rooted to her spot, her eyes glued to Rojo's metallic red form. What's going on here? A male voice shouts out from afar. Four Arms and Ochako spin around, spotting what appears to be a hero running towards them. They must have received a call about a couple of mutant quirk users duking it out. The pro hero appears to be Mr. Brave, at least that's what Ochako and Rojo are able to make out from Four Arms muttering from when he recognizes the lesser-known pro hero. Rojo also spots the pro hero making a beeline for them. Shit, I got to think fast here. This is bad. She's already wasting too much time with this overgrown child, and now a hero is here to arrest her. If this fight drags on any longer, no doubt more heroes will show up to help take her down. She may now be stronger, but even she knows that the numbers in battle can defeat the strongest of foes. She has to think of a way to keep the hero at bay, while also getting this brat alone. She glances over, taking note of the girl that the red brute's been hauling around. Rojo smirks gleefully as a devious idea forms in her head. Mr. Brave is nearly upon them, and with no time to waste, Rojo sprints forward and grabs onto her target. She binds her arm around the surprised and terrified Ochako before jumping onto the outer wall of a 5-story building. She digs her free claw and her clawed feet into the wall, allowing her to hold to the side. Four Arms realizes his blunder of letting his guard down, fearing for Ochako's life. Uraraka! Deku! Ochako screams out, squirming in Rojo's tight hold. She is unable to get her hands free, and thus unable to reach anything that she can use her quirk on and allow her to break free. Rojo crawls up the wall as Ochako squirms and begins to tear up. As she hops onto the roof, she calls back down at Four Arms. If you want your girl back, you'll have to give up the Omnitrix, you brat. And with that, she takes off via leaping from roof to roof. Hey, get back here, villain. Having just witnessed a kidnapping, Mr. Brave takes off after Rojo, but due to lack of acrobatics, he must follow from the streets below. Four Arms calls out to the pro hero. Hey, wait. But it's too late, the pro hero is already out of earshot. This is really bad. Four Arms takes off running, chasing after the pro hero and the villain. This is all my fault. How could I have let her get taken like that? Oh, I hope Uraraka is okay. He's now in a full-on sprint, passing by driving cars and unsuspecting bystanders. From above, he can spot Rojo roof jumping with a struggling Ochako in her arms. And not too far away is the hero Mr. Brave, who looks to be calling in backup. What do I do? What do I do? Rojo turns her head to analyze the situation. She grins, spotting both the hero and big red muscle head following below. She continues on her way, but with much more urgency. Noticing the change in speed, Four Arms attempts to speed up as well, but he's so busy trying to keep an eye on the kidnapper that he fails to pay attention to where he's going. More precisely, he fails to see oncoming traffic. Asterisk clang, asterisk. A truck slams right into the bulky alien. Four Arms yelps as he bounces off the grill and onto the street. Pedestrians gasp, and some even wince as they witness the large mutant getting plowed by the heavy vehicle. Oh! Four Arms groans as he pushes himself off the ground, holding his head with one hand and holding his side with another. After taking a moment to pat himself down, he's happy to report that nothing appears to be broken. The worst thing he has is probably a very large bruise and road burn. Thank God he was Four Arms and not Ditto. He definitely would have ended up like a bug on a windshield. People surround him asking if he's all right, but he's a bit preoccupied. He's scanning the roofs looking for Rojo. Shit, he can't see her, nor does he spot the pro hero anywhere. No, no, no. This can't be happening. He's panicking as he stumbles here and there, trying but failing to gently move those around him, as they can only stare at him in confusion or concern. Where are they? Where are they? They went that way. A cool, calm voice responses from within the crowd. What? Four Arms spins around, and for a second, he thinks he's staring at another alien, but he quickly brushes off that idea. A tall and rather muscular young man with pale gray hair that's swept forwards and that covers most of his face and his eye. He has 6 arms that are all attached to each other by a web of skin. His 2 upper arms have hands at the end, but the rest end in what appear to be ears, eyes, and even a nose. He's also wearing a blue mask that happens to cover the lower half of his face. Izuku is instinctively curious of what's under the mask. The young man steps forward. As he approaches, 4 Arms takes note that the young man is about a foot shorter than him. You were chasing after that villain, right? The one carrying the girl? 4 Arms' heart begins to race as he remembers his mission. Yes, she took my friend. Do you know which way they went? Yes, I saw them heading in that direction. The multi-armed man points west. I can even hear them from here. Just go down a few blocks, and you should be able to hear sirens when you do follow them. Those are some specific directions, must be thanks to his quirk. Okay, thanks so much. 4 Arms bows his large body, making it a rather hilarious sight. I really appreciate it. No thanks are necessary. The young man waves it off as 4 Arms stands back up. Now you better hurry. Sounds like things are only escalating over there. Right, 4 Arms breaks into a run. As he does, he waves back at the helpful soul. Thanks again. The masked youth gives the Red Hulk a thumbs up in response. What a nice guy, Izuku thinks to himself. As he rounds the corner, the watch, or more precisely the Omnitrix, flashes red, regressing Izuku to his original form. And it couldn't have happened at a worse time. Even though he's been training, his athletic ability is nowhere near 4 Arms, meaning it takes him longer than anticipated to get into earshot of the sirens the tall, muscular man had told him about. After nearly 3 minutes, Izuku can finally hear the sound of police sirens in the distance. He follows the sirens until it's clear where they are originating from. After taking a shortcut through an alleyway, Izuku finds himself lost amongst a rather large crowd of people. What da? Due to his stature, he is unable to make out what is happening. So, he follows along the edge of the crowd, making his way around until he gets a clear enough view of the situation. A number of police and pro-heroes such as Mr. Brave, Air Jet, Death Arms, Backdraft, Slugger, Kamui Woods, and Mount Lady are present, and they seem to be surrounding a store that seems to specialize in selling various appliances. Fridges, washing machines, dishwashers, etc. What's happening? Where's Uraraka? A very familiar and welcoming voice calls out to Izuku. Midoriya. Instantly recognizing that voice, Izuku spins around and spots someone approaching him from behind. 13, indeed. 13 has arrived behind. Is their car left a distance away from the crowd as to not get in anyone's way or to draw attention? What's going on? 13 frowns. It's not good, a villain has taken a hostage. I know that already, Izuku states rather bluntly. 13 gives him a questioning look. Excuse me? Rather than let his blunder throw him off, Izuku focuses in on the main issue. The villain took Uraraka while we were together. 13 recognizes the name as the girl that Izuku fought Dr. Anemo with. All right. Explain everything. All right, Izuku takes a single deep breath before explaining all that's transpired. We, Uraraka and I, had met up earlier today, and while we were heading for lunch when the villain. 13 nods. Right, and then they kidnapped Uraraka. Izuku tenses up, realizing that 13 doesn't in fact understand the full situation. No, the villain, they wanted something from me. Izuku grips the watch in a tight hold, as if even finishing the sentence will magically teleport the device away. 13 instantly picks up what Izuku's trying to say. They wanted the watch. They say it like it's a fact and not a question. Izuku nods. They wanted the Omnitrix. It's what she called the watch. He finishes after 13 gives Izuku a puzzled look. The Omnitrix, huh? Yeah, Izuku nods, his hands fumbling together. He's trying his best from his letting his nerves take over, and he goes into a panic. She demanded that I hand it over, and when I didn't, she took Uraraka. He takes a quick shaky breath. In the meantime 13 keeps their full attention on the fearful Greenette. And that's not all. The villain, it looked like she's fused with one of those attack drones we've been encountering. 13's eyes visibly widen. It must be thanks to her quirk or something, but she's fast, strong, and dangerous. Oh, she also doesn't know what the Omnitrix does, but for some reason she's after it. He throws in the last bit of info rather haphazardly. 13 allows all the information to process in their mind. Okay, that explains quite a few things. I had gotten a ping on my surveillance system about alien technology being activated, and I tracked it here. Well, that explains why they're here in the first place. However, the fact that the technology has fused with the villain is not at all comforting. Izuku begins to shake, but he wills himself to keep it together. Whoever this person is, they know about the Watt Omnitrix, a major power boost with unknown capabilities, and a hostage. We'll have to search for answers later, especially about why they're after the Omnitrix in the first place if they're not even sure about what it does. Now comes Izuku's panic attack. He's sweating as dark thoughts swirl in his head. This is terrible. It's all my fault. I must have done something. Someone must have found out about it and hired her to get it or something. Maybe it was Henzu Uichi. And now Uraraka could be hurt or worse. And the villain might get away. And if they get what they want, who knows what they'll do. And a firm yet comforting hand grips Izuku's shoulder. It's a firm grip that is well practiced in calming panicking and hyperventilating victims in disaster zones. Izuku calms down, allowing 13's presence to comfort him. Relax, all right? Although he was much calmer now, he still can't help the feeling of dread and regret rise up in his throat. How am I supposed to relax when it's thanks to me that my friend is being held against her will? Those robots, they've been targeting me, and while I'm around, everyone I care about is at risk. How can I just stand by and do nothing while those I care about are caught in the crossfire? Amongst the storm of Izuku's tirade, 13's firm voice cuts are through the barrage of panic. Then don't. Izuku instantly quiets down, unsure what the pro-hero means. You've never, not once, since I've known you have you been willing to just wait for someone else to save the day. That is somewhat true, Izuku thinks. It's why you're so quick to use the Omnitrix, because for the first time in your life you have the power to do something, to save others, and that's incredible. So, why stop now? 13 grabs both Izuku's shoulders and gives him a quick shake, anticipating an answer. Izuku is still lost. What are you getting at? 13 sighs. He needs to be forward with this one. I'm going to be honest with you. What I'm about to say could get me reprimanded, but I think it's necessary. The villain has the appliance store sealed really good, and we, the heroes, don't have a clear idea about what's going on in there. Izuku's breath hitches. The villain is refusing to respond to police negotiations, and none of the heroes can make a move without risking Uraraka's well-being. Why are you telling me this? I'm telling you all this because they pause to correct themselves. We need you to sneak in there and stop the villain. What? 13 isn't at all surprised by the teen's reaction. I know, but hear me out. 13 points at the store. That villain has fused with technology. Alien technology. Meaning this situation falls under plumber jurisdiction, but 13 leaves the sentence hanging, hoping their message finally clicks with Izuku. It does. We can't risk being found out. Izuku finishes. His voice is serious, but obviously full of fear. Exactly. And if pro-heroes get involved, not only will they have the villain, but they'll have access to level 10 alien technology. 13 shivers, not wanting to think about what could potentially happen if that's the case. And that could be catastrophic. And since there's no chance that I can get in there, let alone by myself, I need you to go in there and stop this villain. I need you to disable the alien technology within them. And we need you to save your friend. Saying that this is a lot of responsibility is an understatement. How can he possibly do this by himself? This different than anything he's tackled to this point so far. Monsters and robots are one thing. They can't strategize, adapt, or process emotions. But a villain, a human, with the ability to make decisions and a hostage is a whole other ballpark. Noticing Izuku's discomfort, 13 decides that he should be responsible and not try to force his protege into this. If you don't feel comfortable with this, then I understand. Izuku can tell what they're trying to do. They're trying to give him a chance to step away. But that would mean risking the risk of alien technology being released into the world, the villain getting away, and abandoning Ochako. How could he possibly do that? Can he really just walk away? No, he can't. Despite his nervous disposition, he delivers a steely glare. I'll do it. 13 is a bit surprised, but they really shouldn't be. They definitely can't stop the sense of pride rising in their chest. Izuku gives the pro-hero a shaky and somehow a confident grin. And I think I have a plan. If 13 wasn't wearing a helmet, Izuku would have seen one of the biggest grins of his life. Then let's hear it. A few miles away, All Might, in his civilian clothes, holds up a very dizzy and possibly concussed purse thief. Fear not, citizen, this thief will not trouble you anymore. A small crowd of admiring faces have gathers awing in All Might's glory. A single woman bows repeatedly as All Might returns her purse to her. Have a wonderful day. Now watch as I make my exit. Asterisk whoosh, asterisk. And just like that, All Might disappears in a blink of an eye. The only evidence of him ever being there is the tied-up unconscious thief and a gust of wind. The small crowd barely starts to disperse. Many of them are still hyped up about encountering and witnessing the symbol of peace in action. Whoa, look at him go. How? He took off so quick. He's so cool. You're amazing, All Might. An extremely thin All Might overhears and blushes from the praise, glad that he could help. He steps out from his hiding spot, the backside of a nearby dumpster within a nearby ally. He takes a moment to regain his breath. After all, he's nearly at his limit for the day already. He's just about to walk away as the chatter behind him continues. I wonder where he went. Probably to that hostage situation across town. That makes the pro-hero freeze up. A hostage situation? The two pedestrians continue, not noticing the skeletal man eavesdropping on their conversation. Yeah, the heroes got the whole place taped off, and they can't seem to get inside. Apparently, the villain has a strong quirk, and the hostage is just some middle school girl. That's too bad. I hope it all turns out okay for her. Yeah, me too. All Might's mind can't help but remember the slime villain attack. But more precisely, he remembers how useless he was. He couldn't be the hero that day for a lot of people. Not for the crowd, the hostage, and definitely not for that boy, Izuku Midoriya. No matter how much he'd like to, he'll never forget what he did to that poor boy. A quirkless boy so full of hope, and he outright crushed it with little to no remorse. I could have done more, I should have done more, but I didn't. I just turned his back on the kid. He feels uncomfortable when he considers how much that must happen to the boy. How often people turn their backs on each other because of their status, appearances, and/or abilities. Maybe he was the one. It's not the first time he's considered this. Perhaps that boy could be his successor. But would he even want to see me? Would he even listen? Would he even accept after everything I said? A dreadful feeling tells him that no, the boy would not accept him. Sure, he could go and track him down, but would that really fix things? Probably not, and they may never know. Maybe in an alternate reality it all worked out from them. But in this reality, he has to find the right successor, one that understands what it means to be a hero and can become a symbol. But for now, he's the holder of one for all and the symbol of peace, so for now he'll focus on his duties as such, starting with the hostage situation. As fast as he can muster, while in his weakened state, All Might takes off calling Tsukachi to find out where the villain is held up. Hopefully he can make it there in time. Asterisk sniff asterisk. Someone please hurry. Clank. The sound of metal being smashed echoes throughout the building, making Ochako recoil in fright. Rojo pulls her fist away in frustration from the smashed washing machine. Damn it, he's taking too long. Rojo snarls, kicking a different washing machine. She kicks it so hard that it's flung away, bouncing off other appliances before landing hard onto the tile floor. Ochako flinches from her seat on the cold floor. Her wrists are bound to a pipe as to not let her slip away. The villain also took her phone and her bag, throwing them towards the opposite corner away from her. Ever since Rojo brought her here, after nearly making her lose her lunch from hopping from rooftop to rooftop, they've been cooped up in this appliance store for nearly 15 minutes, and already she can hear the sound of police and heroes surrounding them. It gave her hope knowing that they're here, but it's been fleeting ever since they tried to hail the villain to negotiate. But she answered back with a round of lasers from her shoulder blasters. Now here she is, scared witless as a killer robotic psycho paces back and forth through the store as if expecting something to happen. Erg! Rojo screams out, slashing down at a refrigerator, knocking it to the ground in a fit of rage. She spins around, marching straight towards a terrified Ochako. Where is he? She screams directly into the girl's face. Ochako can smell the older woman's breath, and she grimaces as specks of spit fly at her face. Who's he? Rojo spits out her reply. Your boyfriend. Oh, Deku, wait. He's not my boyfriend, she comedically yelps out in embarrassment and shock. Rojo clicks her tongue. Whatever, either way he'll be showing himself sooner or later. Ochako tenses up, knowing the risk of accidental provoking the villain. Why do you say that? Rojo smirks. She can practically taste victory. Simple, he knows what I'm after. She pinches Ochako's face with two metallic fingers, squeezing her cheeks. Ochako has to fight the urge to pull away as to not risk getting her face sliced off. And if he doesn't want anything to happen to your cute round face, Rojo clutches her hand, then he'll have to deliver the Omnitrix to me on a silver platter. Rojo mercifully releases the girl's face. Ochako rubs her cheeks. The Omnitrix? Yeah, that thing on his wrist. She can't be serious. His watch. Why would she be after that thing? Its only function, as far as she knows, is to help Izuku control his quirk. She doesn't know why, but she has one final question that needs to be answered. Why? The question makes Rojo pause before drawing her full attention onto the prisoner. Why? Why do people do anything? Ochako's not sure if she should answer, so she remains quiet. People will do anything for power and money. Those are the only things that drive people to do anything in this life. Rojo states this with such righteous confidence that Ochako actually starts to consider what she's spouting out. Just look at me, I'm jacked. Rojo gestures to herself, admiring her red and mechanical physique. I finally have the firepower to do what I want, and after this I will be even more powerful. The blasters on Rojo's shoulder extend and blast an unexpected dishwasher, burning a hole right through it. And with this power, this strength, I can take and do whatever I want. I'll be rich and known as one of the greatest bandits in the whole world. After this, I bet I'll even be able to take on All Might himself. A shiver runs down Ochako's spine. She's insane. Rojo seems to notice Ochako's reaction. You're right to be scared, because no hero will come to save you. That's not true. Isn't it? Rojo asks rather coldly. Those heroes out there are not here to save you, but to make themselves look good so they can become famous, get a fatter paycheck, and with that comes power. That's also why they won't risk coming in here. Because if they fail, then that's bad press. With bad press comes a loss in popularity, which equals a real loss of money. Ochako hates how much sense the villain is making. With a giant grin, Rojo glances towards the large store windows, watching the number of heroes, police, and innocents outside waiting for something to happen. Don't you see? The only way you're getting out of here is if your friend delivers the Omnitrix or Rojo makes a slicing motion to her neck. In a body bag. Ochako breaks down into a fit of tears, turning her head away as to not give the villain the satisfaction of seeing that she got to her. Rojo chuckles to herself, satisfied with the girl's reaction. She then marches off to survey the situation outside. Ochako is really having a tough time keeping it together as she slumps down in defeat, her hands bound over her head thanks to the binds. She just really wants to be home right now with her parents wearing her favorite pajamas. She'd rather be anywhere but here. It's not true. She's wrong. Someone will come. The heroes will come. Don't let her get to you. A squeaky voice chirps out from above her head. With tears clouding her eyes, Ochako peers up, not knowing what to expect. She certainly didn't expect to see a gray frog with bulging green eyes staring down at her. The little frog-like thing is hanging off the side of the pipe that she's bound to. She blinks away the tears, and that's when she notices the familiar green hourglass symbol on the medallion-like disc on the frog's back. Deku? Gray Matter nods, gesturing for Ochako to keep her voice low. Yeah, it's me. Ochako stiffs up, and in a fit of panic, she quickly scans for Rojo, but the villain isn't in her direct line of sight. What are you doing here? She whispers harshly at the gray bipedal frog. Gray Matter slides down the pipe until he's resting on Ochako's arm. He grabs the bindings, sticking the rope into his mouth, before biting down hard. As he chews away, he tries to reply. GRRR, came to, GRRR, get you, GRRR, obviously. Asterisk, snap asterisk. And with that, Ochako's arms are free. The brunette rubs her wrists gently, trying to regain blood circulation within her hands. Rojo is nowhere in sight, thankfully, but she can return any moment, and how the hell are they supposed to get out of here? Make a run for it? No, they'll get caught before they can even make it to the door. Hide? She'll easily find them. Fight? No chance. Even though she's no longer tied up, the cage of defeat still looms around her. She holds Gray Matter in her hands, the little alien looking up at her with his big eyes that are full of concern and worry. You should just leave. The question comes totally out of nowhere for Gray Matter. What could she possibly mean? Just what did the villain do to her? Uraraka, I can't just leave you here. We need to get out of here. Ochako gives her little friend a soft but deeply saddened smile. Thank you, Deku. But you shouldn't have come. Gray Matter has no idea how to react to this. Should he say something? What should he do? Ochako chokes back a sob. Why risk everything for me? I'm no hero. That really hurts to admit. I can't do what you can do. I'm not powerful. I'm not skilled. I'm just a stupid girl with an unachievable dream. So, please, Deku, just leave me. Uraraka, I'm so sorry. This must be so terrifying for you. And it's thanks to me that you're even here. He has to make this right, but first he has to get her out of here. He will get her to safety, and he'll beg for forgiveness. He'll do whatever it takes to make it up to her. Uraraka, What's this? A red hand seemingly out of nowhere snatches onto the tiny alien. Ochako yelps back in fright as Rojo holds up the frog-like alien, examining it and noticing the dial on its back. Gray Matter flails about, struggling to break free from Rojo's grip. Deku? Are you okay? Gray Matter tries to push and pull himself free of Rojo's claw. Yeah, she just has really cold hands. That's probably not the most pressing matter at the moment. Gray Matter's body seems to squeak like a rubber duck as Rojo gives his body a few squeezes. I knew you'd show up. Ready to give up the Omnitrix? If he wasn't an amphibian, he would be breaking into a cold sweat right about now. Not really. I'm rather attached to it in case you haven't noticed. Rojo actually finds the quip amusing. I'll be taking it anyway. Her silver claws gleam as she turns gray matter over and tries to tinker with the strange alien device, trying to find some way to get it off. Gray matter can feel the cold, sharp claws scratching and digging into the Omnitrix faceplate and his flesh. He starts pounding on Rojo's hand, but it hardly phases her. It doesn't even tickle. Instead, it provokes her to tighten her grip to the point that he's actually struggling to breathe. In between breaths, he's somehow able to call out to a frozen Ochako. "Uraraka run." The order goes unanswered as Ochako continues to cower, watching helplessly as her friend is being tormented by the mad woman. "Deku, even when your back's against the wall, you're still looking out for others. I'm not like you. I'm not a hero." She hates how something deep in her mind seems to agree, and it hurts because it's true. How can someone like her, someone with such a weak will, possibly be a hero? She's nothing like Deku. He never seems to hesitate to help others, but she always does. She can't even save herself. She can't even will herself to move. How could I even consider the possibility of getting into UA and becoming a hero? How can I ever take care of my parents? Her parents, they work themselves to the bone just so they can keep a roof over their heads, clothe themselves, and get food on the table. And to thank them, she really wanted to make a lot of money as a hero to give them the life they deserve. It's ironic, really, with how right the villain was. Heroes only act for their own self-interests. No, that's not true. Just look at Deku. What could he possibly be getting out of this? Not fame, fortune, or power. He's here for the sole purpose to save her, so she can live her life feeling safe and with a happy smile on her face. Happy smiles. That's what really drew her into the appeal of pro heroes. They just seem to make everyone feel safer and happier with their presence alone. She had always dreamed of that the most, bringing smiles to people's faces, allowing them to live their lives free of fear and harm. That's the future she strives for, one where not only her parents, but everybody can live their lives free of worry and strife. They can live their lives with smiles on their faces. Something clicks inside her heart as she gazes up at the pathetic struggle above her. Gray matter is doing his best to break free while trying to choke back the squeals of pain from having what feels like his own heart being tampered with. If I want to achieve my dreams, then I have to make a stand. I have to fight back. I have to save my friend. Seemingly without thinking, as if by instinct, her legs seem to move on their own. "Leave him alone." She lunges at the villain. Acting fast, she presses a firm hand onto Rojo's shoulder, making her weightless, and without any hesitation, she throws the much bigger woman backwards and right into the ground. The attack didn't so much as hurt, but it certainly came as a surprise, and it does manage to knock the wind out of her, allowing her to lose her grip and thus lose her quarry. Without a second to lose, Ochako grabs gray matter and makes a beeline straight for the exit at the front of the store. From within a much warmer and friendlier grip, gray matter calls out to his savior. "Uraraka, that was amazing." She doesn't voice a reply. She's too focused on getting them out of there, but her eyes sheen down at her friend, soundlessly appreciating the comment a great deal. Rojo screams out in outrage. The morphed Izuku spins around in Ochako's hand, his eyes widening in fear, as Rojo leaps up to her feet and the shoulder blasters extend upwards. "Look out!" he barely shouts that out before a pair of laser beams are fired out right towards them. Either by luck or skill, Ochako falls to the ground, allowing the lasers to zip past her head, although the smell of singed hair does reach their noses. The lasers continue forward, blasting apart a poor, unexpected drying machine. The blast is loud enough that everyone such as the news, heroes, and police are able to hear it. "Get back here, you brats," Rojo roars out as she sends out a rapid fire of lasers. "That watch is the key to my successes." Ochako frantically ducks behind a row of refrigerators. The large machines provide enough cover to keep her out of sight, which is good because Rojo fails to notice Ochako scrambling towards the opposite end of the aisle and away from Rojo's aim. Gray matter peeks over the side, observing the situation. He takes a moment to examine Rojo's body, taking note of how much that alien drone actually melded with her human flesh, perhaps to the point that he could rewire her. He could shut her down or make her go haywire. As gray matter, he'll definitely have the know-how to complete such a task. But first he has to get close to her to do that. Uraraka tried to get me close to her. What? Ochako harshly whispers. She accidentally squeezes the tiny Izuku, making him wheeze. I think I can disable the technology encasing her body, but I need access to her inner wiring and components. He pauses to consider their options. He needs to stop her and retrieve the alien technology. Maybe with Ochako's zero gravity she could float him up and he could sneak up on her from above. Throw me while she's not looking. Ochako considers the order, understanding what he's trying to do, but she quickly realizes the possible risks, such as Deku being spotted as she throws him. No, that won't work, but this will. Without warning, she takes off in a sprint back towards the entrance of the store, not bothering with stealth, her hands tucked in front of her as to keep gray matter out of Rojo's sight. Rojo takes the bait. She snarls in frustration, not liking the idea of losing out on her payday, and gives chase, leaping over and throwing machines that are in her way. Stop running. The Izuku within gray matter rears his head as he has a panic attack. What are you doing? Ochako speaks with the most conviction she can muster. Giving you an opening. She activates her quick on her friend, who instantly feels the effect of being weightless. While still running from a fast approaching Rojo, she tosses him up and over her head. Thankfully, gray matter is smart enough to remain quiet despite how much he wants to scream out in fear. It feels really weird to be floating in midair and watching as your friend flees for her life as a mad woman chases after her. Speaking of which, Ochako glances back at the nearing Rojo. When the sprinting villain is nearly underneath gray matter, the brunette gives a shaky smirk as she presses her fingertips together, releasing her quirk. Gray matter falls from above and lands, somehow quietly, on Rojo's shoulder. Thankfully, with how much she's running around and crashing through things, he goes unnoticed by her. Which is good because he's struggling to crawl his way towards the back of her head thanks to all the thrashing around. But he has to do this, he promised 13. Plus, it wasn't exactly easy to get in here, those vents were extremely dusty. At this point, Rojo is practically at Ochako's heels, so much so that she takes a few swipes at the poor girl. Despite the real threat of being slashed into pieces, Ochako is surprisingly calm. She only a few aisles away from the exit. Sensing an oncoming attack, she ducks her head forward, avoiding a swipe to her head. She then banks left into an aisle of more kitchen appliances, microwaves, refrigerators, etc. Rojo follows, but with a less than gentle manner. With a swing of her arm, she bashes her arm against the stacks of appliances, knocking them away. A few stray microwaves clash against Ochako's legs, tripping her up. The brunette tries her best, but ultimately, she lands on the tile floor with a loud thud. Ochako groans, propping herself up. She's just about to get up when a shadow looms over her. Rojo is huffing down at her with malice. You're beaten. Now hand over the Omnitrix. Ochako glares up at her, but her expression breaks for a second, not because of the villain, but because of the little gray alien climbing on her shoulder blade. The adrenaline must be keeping her from noticing, or maybe the robot skin is preventing her from sensing the additional weight. No, I don't think I will. With a cheeky smile, Ochako reveals her empty hands. If it weren't for her altered eyes, they would be widening in surprise. Where is he? From behind Rojo's neck, gray matter can make out what appears to be the main circuit board of what was once the drone. Ochako takes a second to examine what's around her, and from the corner of her eye, the perfect weapon stands out. She then peers up at the villain, deciding to humor her question. He's closer than you might think. What? Meanwhile, gray matter has somehow gotten through the steel skin to the circuiting underneath, and with as much strength he can manage with such a tiny body, he tugs on the wires, breaking a few of them free. Ah! Rojo screams out in pain as a high-pitched static screeches through her head and electricity sparks out from the back of her neck. The sparks nearly fry the little alien who's holding on tight as to not get thrown off by Rojo's floundering. Rojo desperately tries to grab at gray matter, but the little alien is a bit too slippery for her to even touch. With the villain distracted, Ochako reaches for the one kitchen appliance that stood out to her. "What are you doing to me?" Rojo roars out in desperation, trying to get rid of the gray pest. She can feel it. She's losing control over her own body. It's weakening. The strength, the surge of electricity, the power is all starting to fade away as the little pest continues to rip away at her inner wiring. "Hey!" Rojo spins around to face the girl. What she sees really takes her by surprise. Ochako's wielding large silver refrigerator, holding it, the cord making it look like a giant-sized balloon. The large size makes her look even smaller than she really is. But somehow that only enhances how intimidating she is right now with such a determined look in her eyes. Have a taste of this. Even though she's scared, even though she's exhausted, even though she feels like she may puke at any given second, she will not back down from this. She swings the fridge as if it was a giant flail right at Rojo. The refrigerator slams right into Rojo, who stands there like an idiot thinking that her armor would protect her. It does not. Because in that same moment gray matter was able to complete his part of the mission, thus bringing her defense down to that of a normal human being. As the large machine slams into Rojo, Ochako not only lets go of the cord but releases her quirk, enhancing the impact of the attack. The impact comes in so fast and hard that the hit shatters the robotic exoskeleton, making it crumble away like a potato chip being smashed. Add in the fact that now about 300 pounds of moving force not only has the strength to break things but to launch them too. Both Rojo and the fridge are sent flying towards the store entrance. Both crash right through, taking the crowd of reports, heroes, and bystanders by surprise. Rojo passes out as she skids across the street, completely stripped of her power and enhancements, reverting her back to her normal self, as a broken refrigerator lies not too far away. Everyone's attention is so focused on the downed villain that most people don't notice the gray amphibian roll across the ground at the same time the villain was launched through the store. The entire crowd is silent as they all gaze up towards the store entrance. And there waiting to greet them is a battered and exhausted Ochako Uraraka. She's out of breath and slightly queasy. Either way, she remains composed and standing. She wipes away sweat from the side of her face with her arm and breathing heavily while glaring down at the once mechanical criminal with disdain. What she says is a mere whisper, but because of the silence it is clearly audible. "I can be a hero, and I will keep everyone safe," Ochako declares out to the world with a tired yet victorious smile. And with that the crowd goes insane with thunderous applause and cheers, which totally take Ochako by surprise, making her pink cheeks become even darker in color. The noise seems to snap the pro-heroes and police out of their daze as they charge in to apprehend the villain. Some of them enter the store to make sure no one else was inside. And a few pro-heroes immediately descend upon Ochako, as well as any reporters that were starving for an interview. Mount Lady makes it to Ochako first. "You were absolutely amazing." Ochako squawks, making a comically confused expression with her mouth agape. "Wah?" The reaction makes Mount Lady squeal with delight. You're so goddamn adorable. You just gotta join my agency when you go pro." Before Ochako could reply, even more words are thrown right in her face by other pro-heroes and reporters. "That was spectacular. Miss, how are you feeling right now? How did you manage to defeat the villain? What exactly is your quirk? Do you plan on becoming a hero? If so, join my agency." Gray matter watches on at first, but it becomes increasingly difficult as reporters move in, nearly crushing him in the process. Luckily for the little guy, a friendly hand snatches him up, bringing him to eye level. 13, holding gray matter in his open palms, watches as the Galvan tries to calm his racing heart. "You okay?" Gray matter nods, waving off the adrenaline. Yeah, just give me a minute. As his heart rate calm gray matter takes a moment to look over to where Ochako is. She's smiling and blushing profusely as heroes and reports praise her for not only rescuing herself, but for managing to bring down a dangerous villain all on her own. Even though the praise is extremely flattering, it's clear that Ochako is really suffering from embarrassment. 13 takes note of how uncomfortable she is amongst the swarm of new fans. Come on, let's go rescue her again. You got it. 13 places gray matter onto their shoulder before proceeding to squeeze their way through the sea of people in order to save Ochako from the barrage of praise, inquiries, and agency offers. Unbeknownst to the two of them, they pass by a strange man with blonde hair and sunken eyes. He's dangerously skinny, his clothes hanging off of him, and he's having trouble breathing, not surprising considering he ran all the way here and was able to catch the tail end of the ordeal. Thanks to his lankiness and height, he watches as the police lead the round-faced girl away for her statement and a checkup. My search just might be over. Meanwhile, someone else comes to their own realization. Worthless, the alien commander with an octopus-like head roars out in anger. Oh, how he urges to destroy or kill something, but alas, he can only voice his frustration thanks to being stuck in a healing pod. He continues to spout out words of anger until they begin to wheeze and cough. One of the humanoid drones is busy monitoring their commander's vitals through a holographic screen. Master, please, you are still recovering. The commander's wheezing stops, thanks to the breathing apparatus attached to his mouth and gills, and he composes himself silence. The commander of alien cruiser peers upward at a large holographic monitor, which is projecting what appears to be the day's events from Rojo's point of view. The commander watches as the monitor replays the same scene over and over, the scene of a human girl somehow managing to take down his agent with a single attack. This endeavor has proven to be fruitless. Master, should we send more drones? The commander takes a moment to think. How does he continue from here? How can he possibly retrieve the Omnitrix now? The inhabitants of this world are proving to be a greater nuisance than originally foreseen. The so-called pro-heroes are crawling all over this place called Japan. One of them was even able to take out his attack drones with a single strike. And now this, an adolescent child was able to defeat his minion. This cannot stand. However, it is clear that drones will not get him what he so desperately desires. No. All of the drones within the command center stop what they are doing to check on the status of their leader. Master? We will decrease the deployment of drones. For now, we will stand by and observe. We will take time to learn about this backwater planet and its inhabitants until an opportunity presents itself. Yes, this is the right strategy. He needs time not only to heal, but to work around those pesky heroes. He cannot just simply use force to take the Omnitrix. He needs to be more resourceful. So, for now, he will learn what he can, and perhaps if the hero presence on this world is so great, then so too must be the criminal underworld. Perhaps a solution lies there. Thank you for the help, sweetie. Izuku smiles warmly at the kind old woman he offered to carry groceries to her home. You're very welcome, ma'am. With a friendly wave, Izuku went off on his merry way. For a good portion of the day, he's just gone about strolling through Musutafu. He has no particular plan other than helping those he can. And why shouldn't he? Now that he's completely cleaned up Dagaba Beach, he has officially completed his training with 13. And he couldn't feel any more pride for himself than now. Also, the newly developed muscles didn't hurt either. Seriously, the all-American dream plan really worked better than he ever expected it to. Of course, there is still more to learn, especially about his aliens and powers, but he can focus on that stuff at UA assuming he'll make it in. For now, he'll just help those he can. He's already done so much, such as using feedback to help a little girl get her cat down from a tree, give a nice elderly gentleman direction, and he even picked up some trash around the park as ditto. It feels nice to do those good deeds, and the beautiful weather really helps his mood. The sun is out, but it's not too hot or humid. A nice breeze gently moves his hair, and the birds' songs only help to raise his spirits. Asterisk ping asterisk. That was his phone. He pulls it out, seeing one new message from Ochako Uraraka. They've stayed in contact, especially after what took place nearly 8 months ago, and especially what happened afterwards. Hash 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 flashback. Hash 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 hash. Uraraka, I'm so sorry. Streams of tears are just gushing out from Izuku's eyes, so much so that Ochako has to shield herself from the splashes. Whatever for. The dam closes up very briefly, enough so Izuku can reply. If it weren't for me, you'd have never been kidnapped. The dam opens back up and the tears resume to act like geysers, so much so that tears begin to pool at their feet. Ochako so desperately try to calm the poor greenette down before he draws any more attention to themselves. Luckily, the Tatooine train station is void of crowds, especially at this hour. It's nearly dusk, and the orange tint to the sky only confirms this. It took a while for the police to get their statements from Ochako about the villain and the events that led up to her kidnapping. They seem to be rather lax and sensitive to her, especially since she was only defending herself and with the villain, identified as Rojo. Now in custody, they saw this as a case closed. So, they didn't push too hard with their questions. That said, 13 did remain nearby to make sure nothing led to talks about the Omnitrix, aliens, or the alien tech. Ochako herself kept things to a minimum, such as not mentioning that Izuku had broken into the store to help her. She was afraid of what they would do to him since it's illegal to use your quirks without a license and that he snuck past the police. When all was said and done, even after some more pros approached Ochako with offers, the police escorted her to the train station on her insistence since Izuku sent her a quick text to meet there. 13 generously gave Izuku a ride to the train station so he could meet up with his friend. Now here they are at said train station. Izuku crying his heart out with apologies, and Ochako can do nothing but smile sheepishly for his sincerity. All the while 13 keeps to themselves, watching from afar as to not disturb them. Deku, really, it's fine. I don't blame you for anything. Izuku sniffs, his tears calming to a drip. Really? Ochako can't help but chuckle at his somewhat cute and funny expression. Yes, it was the villain, Rojo, that ruined our day out, not you. Izuku fidgets with the hem of his shirt. So, all is forgiven? Ochako gives him a warm, soft smile to help reassure him. Of course. Ah, thank goodness. Ochako nods in confirmation. It's true. She doesn't see this as Izuku's fault in any way. But Rojo really wanted to get her hands on his watch thing. The Omnifix know the Omnitrix. But why? It should only work with Izuku's quirk. One-man army, right? Perhaps she wanted to use it for something else. Maybe Deku knows why. Maybe she should ask. Yeah, there shouldn't be any harm in asking. Hey Deku. Izuku tilts his head to the side, a naive smile on his face. HMP. What is the Omnitrix? His reaction is not what she's expecting. Izuku is shocked so much so that he nearly stumbles over in surprise. The Omnitrix? His eyes dart towards 13, but they are too far away to have heard the question. 13 notices Izuku's distress and begins to make their way over to assist their student. But for now, Izuku is on his own. The Omnitrix is my watch, just like I said earlier. I know that. Ochako eyes the black and green device with much curiosity. But what I mean is, why was Rojo after it? What should he say? Should he tell her how the Omnitrix is level 20 alien technology that can give its user access to alien quirks? I don't know. He hates how easily he was able to lie like that, especially after what happened last time he lied to a friend. Ochako tilts her head slightly with a raised eyebrow. Really, Rojo made it sound like she would be more powerful after she got it. Ochako notices that 13 has approached them, but they seem to respect that Ochako is the one speaking and doesn't want to interrupt. Maybe she thought it could do something for her. 13 decides to chime in. Or maybe she was trying to retrieve it for someone else. After all, the past drones were all after the Omnitrix as well. Perhaps whomever is controlling them went with a different approach. But that still doesn't answer my question. Why would anyone be after his watch? Does it do something else? Izuku and 13 share a nervous look. Well, at least Izuku does. Ochako finally realizes how incredibly rude and nosy she's being right now. I mean, you don't have to tell me, but I mean my life was at risk because of it. But still. Izuku's eyes cast downward in shame. She's right, after all, her life was in danger because of him, because of the device on his arm. He needs to make it right. But what about 13? Will they be all right with him filling her in? Uraraka, you see, well, my watch is special. But why don't we discuss this at a later time? 13 calmly interjects before Izuku could continue any further. Both teens give the adult odd looks. What? Ochako looks uncomfortable, but she speaks up anyway. I'm sorry, 13, and I don't mean to be rude, but I was talking to Deku. I'm sorry, too, Miss Uraraka. I'm afraid this matter does concern me. Also, I want to apologize for deceiving you. 13 gestures to the quivering greenette beside them. But Midoriya and I have known each other for some time now. What? Ochako stares at the equally surprised Deku, although he's surprised because 13 was the one to spill the truth. Why would you keep the fact that you know a pro-hero a secret? Before Izuku could reply, 13 continues their explanation. Miss Uraraka, please understand that the Omnitrix is a highly sensitive matter. The brunette gaps in shock as the worst comes to mind. Oh my gosh, it's a government secret, isn't it? Oh no, now you have to silence me, hide my body, and erase my files to the point that I never existed. What? We don't do that. We don't just make our problems disappear or send them away most of the time. 13 coughs the last part into their hand. Hopefully the girl didn't hear that part. Izuku, however, did catch it. What do they mean by that? What I mean is we need special permission to share that information with you. 13's eyes shift towards Izuku before back at the brunette. After that, we'll be happy to share what we know with you. Wow, this must be really serious, Ochako thinks. Really, it's not too much trouble, is it? It's not. 13 really sounds both professional and sympathetic, which is good since both teens seem like they are both nervous about something or other. But please keep in mind that this secret could change your perspective on things. Just keep that in mind, all right? Ochako easily picks up the warning tone of 13's voice. All right. 13 instantly brightens, clapping their hands together as a means to signal the end of the conversation. Great, well, I think you two have earned yourselves a nice long rest, wouldn't you say? Izuku's eyes widen as he finally takes note of how late it is. They can almost see the stars begin to emerge as the sun slowly disappears in the horizon. Oh, yeah. Ochako checks her phone, noticing the time and the texts from her parents. Right, I should get going. I wouldn't want to worry my parents any more than I have already. Izuku nods. Same. 13 pats Izuku's shoulder. How about I see you home, Midoriya? Sure. The greenette turns to Ochako. I'll let you know if we can tell you anything. And, he bows, his back straight and his eyes shut. I'm sorry for keeping secrets. Ochako blushes from the display. It's fine, everyone has their secrets, and if you can't tell me then I understand, even if I really want to know. She rubs her head, flashing him a sheepish smile. Thanks, I'm grateful. In that moment, the speakers across the station turn on. Attention all commuters, the last train to Indori will be departing shortly. Oh, that's me. Text me later, all right? Ochako grips her backpack and takes off for the train. She can't afford to miss it. Take care. Izuku calls back to her. Right, see ya. 13 and Izuku watch as Ochako enters the station and makes a beeline for her train. Without looking away, Izuku decides now is the time to bring something up to the plumber. Are we really going to ask permission to tell Uraraka about everything? That depends. 13 turns and looks directly into Izuku's green shimmering eyes, and with all seriousness they ask, "Do you really want to tell her?" "What? But I thought you said we needed permission to do that." "Midoriya, understand that I have all the authority to let those that I see as necessary to know about my work, and you are part of it. Also, with the number of plumbers on Earth being so low, we need as much help as we can get. That said, we can't go around telling everyone we think can keep a secret. If Uraraka accepts our terms, then I see no reason to not bring her into the fold. Plus, she's already proven herself well against those alien robots. So, it's up to me?" 13 nods. "I trust you." He has to think about this. This is what he wanted, isn't it? He doesn't have to keep lying to her. Unsure, Izuku watches as Ochako boards the train. She hops on, making it seem like she just barely made it. But the train's doors haven't even shut closed yet. She turns and with a cheery smile she waves back at them. "Yeah, I think we should." "Okay, I'll prepare what's needed to help convince her." I wonder what that entails. Finally, there's only one more thing weighing on his mind. "Hey, 13. "Yes?" "Something else has been bothering me. How did Rojo get her hands on the robot in the first place?" Rather than wait to think about how and why, 13 already has an answer to that question. "I already looked into it. She stole the robot from a transport vehicle being driven by the Hero Association." Izuku internally gasps. "Do they know?" he means. "Do they know about aliens and the plumbers?" "The organization as a whole, no." Izuku visibly relaxes. "But the leaders do." Izuku's eyes widen in astonishment. "And they sometimes go behind my back to take alien contraband, specifically alien technology." "Is that bad?" "Yes, they wish to unlock new technology, but like I said, that could lead to catastrophe. I'll have to give them a call and make sure that it doesn't happen again." The train's whistle decides to interject itself to allow all those that hear it to know that the train will be leaving now. "You don't have to worry about that, thou. I made sure to collect all that was left of the evidence this time." The train doors shut closed. Izuku and 13 watch on as Ochako sits down near the large window with her back towards the duo. Even from their position, they can see her ease into her seat, letting exhaustion take her over. 13 is glad. It seems that his young protege really took his advice about finding someone to confide in. Someone he can trust and help ease his troubles. She's a good one. "Huh? I mean, as a friend, she's a good friend. She seems like a good person you can confide in, right?" "Yeah?" Izuku watches as the train begins to ease itself forward onto the tracks. He watches as his friend's train car begins to move as well. He thinks about what 13 said, and he has to agree. Ochako really has become someone he can see as a friend, a real friend at that. For now, he can only wonder about what will happen next and how well she will handle the truth about the Omnitrix and him. Just as Ochako's train car leaves his direct line of sight, Izuku spots only a single other person sitting in the same car on the opposite side of the car from her. Sitting with their back towards the window, there is a skinny blonde-haired man with an overly sized white shirt. Was that? No, it must have been my imagination. I've had a long day after all. Yeah, that's it. After all, why would All Might be heading to Indori, in Mei Prefecture, when his agency is in Tokyo? Oh well, it wasn't him anyway. Now time to get home before Mom cries herself to dehydration. Hash 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 end flashback hash 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 hash. Izuku unlocks his phone and he is greeted by a selfie from Ochako Uraraka with the caption, "Whoa, my training regimen is tough, but I think it'll be well worth it." Izuku smiles at the photo. It was taken recently. He can tell from how much light is in the photo. It's of her in exercise clothes. Her face is dirty and slightly scraped up, and she's sweating, that much he can tell. But despite that, she's smiling and giving him a big thumbs up from within the photo. Judging from the background, she appears to be in a forest near her home, which makes sense all things considered. According to earlier conversations, she was able to find a trainer that was willing to help her to develop her quirk and her physical capabilities as well. He tried to ask who her trainer was, but all she said was that it was a personal connection of her dad's construction company. Either way, it's good that she's working hard to achieve her dreams. He sends her a quick response. Keep up the hard work. Let's try to meet up before the UA entrance exam next month. Sounds good to me. Great, how about we go to this new matcha place that just opened up? Yes, yes, yes. I must have matcha ID. I mean, sure. Why not? Izuku laughs at Ochako's silliness. "'Kay, I'll send you the address later." "Cool, see you then." "Talk to you later, Space Cadet." "Same to you, fellow Space Cadet." Izuku chuckles warmly at the stupid nickname she dubbed them with. Well, it's certainly better than yelling out plumber or space hero. After all, neither of them has earned those titles quite yet, but one day they just might. The thought makes Izuku grin like there's no tomorrow. They did make a promise to each other all those months ago, and he has no intention of ever breaking that promise. Hash 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 flashback hash 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 hash. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. I mean, what if she freaks out or has a mental breakdown? She might think I'm some kind of freak. What if she regrets this decision? This can go badly in so many different ways. I bet she freaks out at the first sight of them. She might freak out, but from your muttering more likely. 13 deadpans in slight annoyance. They're never going to get used to Izuku's muttering habit. Huh? Oh, right, sorry. I'm just so nervous. Izuku gazes up at the large warehouse standing behind them. Uraraka isn't the only person's reaction that I'm worried about. Izuku shudders with nervousness. 13 lazily texts away on their phone, oblivious to Izuku's worries. It's no big deal. Just relax. 13 pockets their phone, eyeing the slightly shaking teen. You trust her, right? Of course. Izuku answers with little to no hesitation. Then you have nothing to worry about. Izuku smiles softly before turning away to keep an eye out for Ochako. While he's distracted, 13 gently taps a hidden device in his pocket. Besides, I could use this to erase her memories in case this doesn't go as planned. It's such a convenient device, they don't actually get to use it that often these days, which is a shame since it was such a great gift from some friends from out of town. You ready? Honestly, no. Oh, well, that's too bad, 13 states rather carelessly. Why? Rather than answer, 13 holds up 3 fingers. Izuku watches on in confusion as 13 begins to silently count down to 1. And when they get to 0, the pro hero simply points a finger towards the front of the warehouse yard. Deku, 13. Uraraka waves over, taking off into a jog towards them. Izuku freezes up. You, Uraraka. 13's not ashamed to admit that they feel rather smug right now. Right on time. 13 smiles at the brunette as she approaches them. Thanks for agreeing to meet us here. I know it's rather inconvenient for you to make the trip all the way out here. No, it's fine. I completely understand. Besides, now I get to check out your secret government facility. Ochako smiles with joy, waving her fists up and down with little stars glimmering in her eyes as the anticipation within her heart begins to swell up. I bet it's nearby. It must have a super cool secret entrance, laser guns, retinal scans, and secret agent gadgets. Oh, I just can't wait. 13 sweat drops from Ochako's apparent overexcitement. She's had too much time to think about this. Izuku mimics his mentor's expression as he presses his index fingers together. Now I feel like she's going to be disappointed. 13 sighs, reclaiming the teen's attention. All right, I think it's best if we just wipe off this band-aid. 13 takes a deep, calming breath, preparing themselves for the possibly disastrous outcome that may unfold. Miss Uraraka, once again I have to be utterly clear with you. But what we are about to share with you cannot only affect you personally, but the entire world as we know it. So, please understand that you can never share what you learn here with anyone. Do we have your word? Ochako's gaze falls as she ponders the question. In all honesty, I've already been entrusted with one earth-shattering secret this week alone, and that one was a lot to take in. So, how mind-blowing could this next one be? Ochako inhales, summoning all the courage and fortitude she can muster. Yes. Good. Midoriya, why don't you explain what you can to her? For a split second, Izuku looks like he's going to pass out, but he composes himself just as fast, albeit with a shaky smile that fails to be comforting or convincing. Right, so I'm an alien. Ochako stares at the greenette as if he spontaneously grew a second head. 13 facepalms themselves. Never have they been more embarrassed for someone other than themselves in their entire life. Maybe this was a bad idea. Izuku can't help but feel somewhat betrayed. See, I told you? 13 sighs in defeat, stepping forward to take the lead. You know what, I'll just take the lead. Miss Uraraka, that snaps Ochako out of her daze. The first thing you should know is that Midoriya here is actually quirkless. With pride, 13 affectionately pats Izuku on the shoulder, feeling proud that they can say that a quirkless boy can be a hero. Izuku can hear the blatant pride in 13's voice, and it makes his chest swell up too. The moment doesn't last long, though, namely because of the bewildered expression Ochako is giving them. I know. Hard to believe, right? But not when you consider the possibility that the watch, or rather the Omnitrix, has the ability to give Midoriya various powers. Okay, that's a lot more to take in than I was expecting. Ochako looks over at Izuku, who's too busy sweating and clamming up in place. He's clearly uncomfortable with where the situation has gone. Could 13 be serious? Is Deku really quirkless? She unsure, but she decides to see where this goes for now. Let's just say if I did believe you, then I would have to say that it's all pretty incredible. Izuku straightens up slightly. Perhaps she will accept the truth in a positive light. Especially, considering that you're quirkless, that just makes it. Izuku curls in on himself, as if expecting to be hit hard by an insensitive remark. Even more amazing. Well, he certainly wasn't expecting that. Ochako brightens up, letting her good nature and elation bubble up. Seriously, that'd be super cool, a quirkless hero who with a brief change of fate has the opportunity to live out their dream. That kind of stuff only happens in movies and comic books, and seeing it in real life would be amazing. Her expression falls. But we don't live in a comic book, so I don't fully understand how a little device could give someone multiple quirks. 13 sticks a finger into the air. And that segues us into the next and most important part. 13's demeanor becomes serious. They carry an air of professionalism that a pro hero in a disaster situation would conduct themselves during planning phases. Do you believe in extraterrestrial life? Izuku's not sure if he should cry or laugh right now. Come on, 13, I thought you'd take a more subtle approach than that. Absolutely. Ochako seems to be radiating a cheery light. Her eyes look like a child who was just given a whole bowl of candy on Halloween. Izuku gasps. Seriously? I do. Ochako practically cheers with enthusiasm. After all, there are like a gazillion stars in our galaxy alone. The odds of there being no other life out in the universe is impossible. Who knows what's out there? Just imagine what they must be like. I can only imagine what they're like. I bet they're slimy, creepy, fast, and strong. They're every shape and size. Ochako, disturbingly, begins to chat away to herself in a storm of muttering, much like what Izuku does whenever he talks about heroes and quirks. That fact is not lost on said teen as he stares wide-eyed at an excitedly muttering Ochako. He finally understands why everyone else is so put off when he himself does this. So, that's what it feels like. Ochako becomes stock still as her face drains of all color. She finally realized how much of her geeky side she just displayed. Sorry, I'm kind of a space nerd. No way. Ochako grabs her face, turning away to hide her embarrassment. She frantically shakes her hand at him as if to wave him away. "Oh, gosh, this is so embarrassing," Ochako gasps, remembering something from before. "Wait," she points two finger guns at Izuku. "So, your quirk one-man army is actually a cover for the Omnitrix." She steps closer as if being closer would help her to sniff out any lies. "And if that's the case, then are you trying to say that the Omnitrix is actually an alien device that can alter your DNA to that of other sentient beings?" 13 blinks a few times, processing what just transpired. "Wow, you got that on the first try." Ochako coughs, trying to save grace. "But even if all of that was true, no matter how much I wish it was, I don't think I actually believe anything you're saying. And that's why we're here." 13 waves a hand at the giant warehouse as if it was a magical place of majesty. Ochako, however, is not impressed by the crumby-looking building with barbed wire fencing, broken windows, and rusted doorway. It's here where Izuku finally decides to air his grievance. About that, Izuku strolls over to 13, waving a finger at them. He tries to keep his composure while negative thoughts flow through his head. "Is it possible we could do this anywhere else but here?" He jabs a thumb at the warehouse, acting like there's something inside that he's dreading. "Midoriya, we talked about this. This is the safest and most appropriate place to conduct this." Ochako says nothing. She just watches on as Izuku and 13 have their little discussion. What is Deku so worried about? 13 grabs the door bar before turning to face the pink-cheeked girl. "This is it, Miss Uraraka. This is your last chance to back out." Ochako gives the pro-hero the best confident look she can muster. "I'm not backing out. I want to know and help out in any way that I can." 13 nods. They turn back to the door, and with some hesitation 13 slowly begins to push the large metal doors open. The anticipation is torture on her. Just what is inside that has Deku so scared? Could it be a hive of brain-eating aliens? Is it a spaceport that's housing UFOs? Or maybe it's the entranceway to an underground city full of aliens. Welcome to Mr. Bauman's store for the far-traveled and newly localized. The look on Ochako's face, with a stupid grin and wide eyes, would be comical if it wasn't for the dazed and far-off look in her eye. It's unclear if she's reacting this way thanks to her exaggerated expectations, or the number of otherworldly beings, goods, and atmosphere of the facility. Probably the latter. 13 leads the way, gesturing Ochako inside. It takes a soft nudge from Izuku to get her moving. She remains stiff even as she slowly marches along, like she's literally walking on eggshells. The brunette stiffly rotates her head here and there, observing what she can while trying to process the overwhelming flow of new information. Everything and everyone here are clearly an alien. Sure, most can obviously be passed off as humans with mutant-type quirks, but amongst the unearthly food, products, and other beings, it's clear what they truly are. A group of aliens that look like crabs with big yellow eyes and large red pincers are gorging themselves on pieces of scrap metal. A purple bipedal sloth with a skull-like face and insect antennas is browsing a selection of oddly colored fruits. Nearby, a green slug-like alien with a tubular mouth disgustingly spits out what looks like a spitball that's made of boogers and vomit. Ochako looks like she's going to throw up at the mere sight of the revolting thing. She can even smell it from their distance. During the entire walk, Izuku has been gagging Ochako's reactions, and from what he can tell, none of this is going as planned. There's no thought that if they continue, she's going to have a mental breakdown. There has to be something he can do to fix this. Hey, you Uraraka, are you all right? She doesn't reply right away. She doesn't even turn to face him, but she does react by freezing in place. Deku. Izuku flinches. Here comes the explosion of emotions and outrage. Meanwhile, 13 finally notices that the two teens have stopped moving. I'm fantastic. Her eyes light up like Christmas lights, full of wonder and passion. Izuku certainly wasn't expecting that as a reaction. This is so amazing. I've only ever dreamed of this kind of stuff. I mean, look at that alien. She points towards a young alien that looks like a literal sea monkey on legs and wearing overalls. Or that one. She excitedly points to another alien. This one looks like a purple squid wearing a glass tube as a helmet to breathe a noxious gas. Ochako spins around admiring everything in sight from the grotesque to the fascinating. This place is my greatest fantasy come true. Well, it would be if there was a mountain of matcha. Sorry, but we don't sell human food here. A highly annoyed voice responds. Izuku begins to sweat profusely. He can never mistake that voice with all its irritation and anger. Mr. Bauman. Mr. Bauman, the elderly and grouchy store owner, marches towards the odd trio with as much dominance as possible. Izuku winces as Mr. Bauman leers down at him. Izuku Midoriya, what are you doing in my store? Izuku blanches. Oh man, this is the last thing he wanted today. Mr. Bauman's scolding always puts him off. Oh, well. Nice to see you, Mr. Bauman. Leave it to 13 to come to the rescue. Mr. Bauman's expression softens, not by much, but it's enough to draw attention away from Izuku, allowing the boy to catch his breath. Same to you. Now would you care to explain why you brought this menace into my store? Mr. Bauman points a finger at Izuku. However, he's so close and aggressive about it that he actually jams his finger into Izuku's cheek. 13, even with their helmet, gives the store owner a friendly smile. Ah, yes, we are conducting some possible recruitment today, and your store is the best place to get our points across. Recruitment? Mr. Bauman raises an eyebrow, crossing his arms. Am I to assume it's the human girl that's busy disturbing my customers? Huh? Both Izuku and 13 look over to Ochako to realize what he meant. She's gone. Izuku, on the verge of panicking, swivels around frantically trying to spot her. 13 also looks around, but with much more composure. They spot her all right. She's enthusiastically running about the store, interacting with everything and everyone she encounters. She shakes hands or tentacles with an alien that looks like a cross between a swamp monster and a blue octopus. She rudely taps on the metal exoskeleton of a robotic-like alien with blue skin and yellow eyes who happen to be going through an alien sock aisle. She even tries to take a bite out of something that looks like an orange with purple spots, only to have the piece of fruit to try and take a literal bite out of her. Her antics seem to be putting some of the other shoppers on edge. Seeing a strange human girl running around isn't exactly something one sees around here all that often. 13 gives the elderly gentleman a slight bow. My apologizes, Mr. Bauman, she doesn't mean any harm. Mr. Bauman crosses his arms, sticking his nose upward. Funny, that's what most people say about this one. He gestures to Izuku, who finally looks away from watching Ochako run about the store. But I know the truth. Izuku's shoulders slump, feeling dejected. Harsh. 13 pats Izuku on the shoulder, trying to show sympathy. Don't worry, we'll be out of your hair before you know it. Mr. Bauman takes a moment to ponder. All right, but the moment this one does anything that will harm my business, I'm kicking you all out. Fair enough. Satisfied, especially after letting Izuku know who's boss, Mr. Bauman stomps away, deciding that he needs to finish restocking his pyramid of canned vegetables. He really hates me. Izuku grumbles, glad that the tension has been cut. Yup, Izuku can't help but think that 13 agreed to that statement way too quickly. Now let's go get Uraraka before she accidentally offends someone. The duo walk off to resume their search. They eventually find her amongst an aisle of cleaning products. She appears to be talking to a rather odd duo, a short alien and an even shorter robot. The alien is a stereotypical little green man from outer space, including thin antennae. He has large bug-like ruby eyes and green skin. He's wearing a red tunic-like garment with 3 black stripes and a triangular pink collar and sleeves, as well as black boots, leggings, and gloves. He also has an ovular light gray pack on his back. The gray robot is just as weird looking. It's 2 feet tall with a large head, Thin arms, triangular legs, large circular eyes that illuminate in a teal color, and a cross-hatched mouth. Ochako happily looks down at the short alien. She's thoroughly enthralled by their conversation. This little guy is really interesting. So, what exactly are your plans for planet Earth? The little green alien eyes Ochako warily, but despite his reserves, he indulges her curiosity anyway, either out of custody or arrogance. My plans for conquest are beyond your puny comprehension, filthy human Earth girl. There's going to be tacos. The tiny robot interjects, sounding like it just gave the most obvious answer. Yes, oh, such tacos will I give. The alien pauses, realizing his blunder. Wait, no. There will be no tacos. He glares at his robot servant, who gleefully and naively smiles back at his master. It takes a moment for it to process that his request was denied. And thus, the little robot begins to randomly scream out as if in pain, cry out in despair as it brainlessly begins to flail about on the floor, acting like a child who just lost their favorite toy. After a few awkward minutes, the robot randomly pops back up onto its feet, acting like nothing ever happened. Okay, he states with so much cheer that it's infectious. The little robot then begins to run in a circle. Judging by the stupid grin on its face, it is clearly having the best time of its life. Wee-ee. Silence. At its master's command, the robot does silence itself. But it doesn't stop running in a circle, its arms waving frantically at its sides. As for your question, the alien eyes Ochako, who has been patiently waiting for him to continue. Although it is beneath me to even speak to you, as seeing that you are part of an inferior species, I will humor you. My ingenious plan will result in your entire worthless and ugly species becoming slaves to me and my people. You will serve us chocolates, clean our toilets, and bow to your supreme warlord, me. He takes a deep breath before entering into a fit of deranged and maniacal laughter. Mwahahaha. I see. Ochako nods, seemingly like she completely understands where the little creep is coming from. Izuku and 13, meanwhile, watch as the little alien eventually begins to choke on his own ego, thus ruining his own moment. Izuku blinks. He's unsure how to react to the little invader's declaration. Should we be concerned? 13 casually waves off his concern. Nah, he's been plotting world domination since 2001. Wow, he's been trying to take over the world for centuries, huh? Yeah, I should arrest him, but I think he's entertaining. In that weird and disturbed kind of way. Ochako leaves behind the odd duo, who are now busy gathering as much cleaning supplies as they can in preparation for their purge against germs. I agree, he is rather silly. I think it's great. Nice to see that you're enjoying yourself. Ochako nods with a joyful smile on her face. HMP. Izuku approaches her, worried that she may be hurt. That's good, but you should be more careful. You don't know what anybody is capable of. 13 full-heartedly agrees. He's right. Although most aliens in Japan are well-meaning people, there are some unsavory characters mixed in. From the corner of their eye, 13 thinks they see something with gray fur try and pocket a pack of food into their orange jacket. Speaking of unsavory characters, 13 turns leering at the thief. You better be behaving yourself, Arjit. A large rat with long, spiky black hair freezes in place, having been caught red-handed trying to steal food. His eyes dart over to 13. After realizing who called him out, he tries to be coy. 13. Long time no see, buddy. You look good. Been working out? Save the act for the suckers you swindle credits off of. I don't need to hear it. The two teens eye the alien rodent warily, but it's Izuku who decides to speak up. 13. Who's this? This is one of the biggest rats in all of Musatafu, both in the literal and metaphorical sense of the word. Izuku is unsure what they mean. He's a con artist. 13 explains. Arjit interrupts, feeling somewhat offended. I prefer the term entrepreneur. 13 gives the rodent a nasty glare. Arjit appropriately takes a few steps back. erring on the side of caution. Hey, come on, now. I mean, a rat's gotta make a living, you know? The plumber's glare intensifies tenfold. Ochako decides to risk her well-being by speaking up. I don't mean to step on your toes, 13, but shouldn't you arrest him? Arjit gulps, but he keeps his composure despite the situation. He pauses. They wouldn't dare, not without good cause. Plus, I am following intergalactic law, because he pauses to think. Business dealings in no way compromise the well-being of my fellow space travelers. 13's glare somehow becomes even more terrifying. Arjit sighs in defeat. I'm also a part-time snitch and informant for the Red Spot. He gestures towards 13. 13 sticks a finger out towards the rat, threatening to use their quirk. Arjit flinches. He's sweating now. The situation is getting increasingly worse for him. He has to correct himself. I mean the plumbers. Mercifully, Arjit's cell phone rings, alerting him of a new message. Arjit sneaks a peek to quickly read the text. Meet me at the construction site. We need to talk about meeting your partner. Seeing an out, Arjit is quick to take it. I hate to run, but I promised a friend that I'd meet up with him today, so see ya. And with that, Arjit scurries away for the exit like the rat he is leaving behind a trail of disturbed dust. Izuku's sweat drops watching the rat make his escape from the store. He's quick to make an escape, isn't he? 13 deadpans. At times like these, they could really go for some Advil. You have no idea. While Izuku and 13 have their little discussion, Ochako can't help but look around again. Although this time she decides that it's better to stay in place. This is amazing. I'm so grateful that I could be here, that I can know the truth. Gosh, there's so much I need to know. There are just so many different kinds of aliens here. I had no idea that not only is there life in the universe, but they're already among us. I have so many questions that I need to ask. Ochako excitedly turns to the other two humans. Hey guys. Before she can get a word out, something small, fast, and blue streaks past her legs, zooming by in a blur. Whoa, what is that? The blue blur zips by again behind Izuku, nearly tripping him over. Ah! The blur continues zipping around them, leaving behind trails of blue streaks. 13 tries to reach for the teens before anything bad occurs. Look out! Ochako braces herself as the speedy attacker continues to zip past them. She can feel it rush by, wiping her hair and nearly making her lose her balance a few times. What's going on? As if reacting to her question, the blur crashes into her chest. Omph! Ochako gasps, falling backwards, landing onto the tile floor with a thud. Oh, that really hurt, and something is weighing on her stomach. That looked like it hurt. That voice sounds like it's coming from a little girl. That said, it does sound more amused than concerned with her pain. Ochako groans, lift her head up to glare up at the little girl, using her as a chair. Yeah, it did. In all honesty, Ochako was expecting a little human girl, which she shouldn't considering their location. But instead, sitting on her is a little reptilian alien that looks very similar to Izuku's XLR-8 form. Izuku blinks as the little alien hops off Ochako with a mischievous smirk. She's a Kindselerin, no wonder that explains the little blue streak zooming around them. It was just a little girl playing around. You need to work on your reflexes, dummy. The little Kindselerin places her hands at her sides, trying to look impressive while looking down on the much taller human girl. The Kindselerin child's head has a similar helmet-like feature as XLR-8. She, of course, has blue skin, white eyes, and a black striped tail. She's wearing a white and pink jacket that stretches past her tiny knees. Ochako frowns, leering at the little creature as she stands back up. And you need to work on your manners. The Kindselerin, for some reason, takes offense to that. Oh, yeah? Well, your face is too round. Ochako's cheeks puff out in annoyance. A part of her wants to be immature and throw insults back, but she's better than that. Yes, mature, at least that's what she tells herself. Well, you may think so, but that's just part of my charm. See? Without any provocation, Ochako poses like the cute anime girl she is with her fingers pressed against her blushing cheeks. They help accentuate my cuteness. She completes the look with a cute girlish giggle. Izuku turns away, hiding his extremely red face while clutching at his heart. She's too cute. While Izuku has an episode, the Quirkless girl, however, sees this action as if a gauntlet has been thrown down, and she is more than ready to accept the challenge. I'm cute too, watch. The child takes a shy stance with a hand over her mouth and the other behind her back. She fidgets in place, acting shy and insecure. Aided by her big innocent eyes, she just radiates innocence. Izuku claps his hands together as if praying. Adorable. At least someone is enjoying this showdown, because the two involved certainly aren't. The two are glaring daggers at each other while also trying to pull off the cutest pose with the most charm. After nearly a minute of holding the same pose, Ochako breaks down, gasping for air as she bends over, pressing down on her knees in defeat. Oh, I admit defeat. Ha, I win, the Quirkless proclaims happily, proud of her victory. Yeah, I guess you do. The two remain like that, one hunched over and the other with their chest puffed out. After a moment, Ochako begins to chuckle lightly, finding the situation rather humorous. Before long, she begins to outright laugh at herself. Just look at her, she just had a cute-off against a 5-year-old and lost. Now that's hilarious. Said 5-year-old seems to realize it too. After blinking at the strange laughing human, she too begins to laugh along with her. Ha ha ha. I guess you're not so bad either. Ha ha. Thanks, and neither are you. Ochako reaches over, petting the little girl on the head. It surprises her how smooth and cool the helmet-like feature really is. Melly, a woman's voice calls out from the other side of a nearby aisle. Ochako looks around for the source of the voice. Melly? Yeah, that's my name. The Quirkless, MLE pronounced as Emily, explains. My, that's an adorable name. Melly, there you are. What appears to be MLE's mother rounds the corner and spotting her daughter. Melly's mother, obviously a Quirkless as well, is wearing a green headscarf over her head along with a matching mini green jacket, a long dark green dress, and white gloves. Melly waves her arms up, glad to see her parental figure. Mommy. And where have you been, young lady? I was playing, Melly states as if it was obvious. The Quirkless sighs. She then realizes that they have company. One of note is the plumber on duty. Oh, my, 13. I'm so sorry if my daughter caused you any trouble. She bows with much remorse, hoping that her daughter hadn't done anything to disturb the hardworking hero. 13 chuckles, alleviating her worries. No, ma'am, a hyperactive child is nothing new for me. Now that hurts. Izuku can practically feel a giant arrow stab him in the head over that remark. The alien mother must have picked up on Izuku's discomfort, and she finally notices the two other humans invading the store. Oh, who are these two? Right, this is Izuku Midoriya. He's a new recruit, and she's... 13 gestures toward Ochako, who doesn't pick up right away that she's supposed to introduce herself. Oh, hi, I'm Ochako Uraraka. A pleasure. The mother smiles and bows in greeting before grabbing her daughter's hand. Thank you for finding my daughter. She just loves to run off on her own. Everyone can't help but have the same response. That seems like an understatement. The mother is oblivious to their inner thoughts. Thanks again. Perhaps we'll see you around sometime. If so, don't hesitate to say hello. Ochako gives her a grateful smile, nodding her head in agreement. Satisfied with her response, she leads her young one away for the register. While being led away, MLE waves back at the smiling brunette. Bye, Ochin. Ochako's heart flutters for a second. Her smile grows as she waves the adorable child off. 13 chuckles at her reaction. Seems like someone made a new friend. Ochako nods, seeing no reason to argue or get embarrassed by her newest achievement, becoming friends with an alien. Hopefully with no more interruptions, 13 can finally ask what's really on their mind. Uraraka, tell me, what do you think of all of this so far? What do I think? What does she think of all this? What does she think of the bizarre yet colorful aliens? Today has been such an experience for me. In just a few minutes, I've seen things that most people would never believe. Heck, they'd probably have an episode. And yet here I am. No words can really describe how she's feeling, so there's only one thing she can really say. It's all just so amazing. I'm really glad to hear you say that. Same. Izuku smiles. Her reaction is really better than what he thought would happen. That said, 13 cuts in on the moment, becoming rather somber in tone. I hope you can understand the gravity of the situation. Ochako cups her chin with a questioning look on her face. What do you mean? The dangers of if you were to let anyone know what you've learned here. What do they mean? Oh, right, it's so obvious. People, or rather humans. Human beings are instinctually wary of the unknown, and what's more unknown than outer space and alien life? And the fear that can rise from that could prove to be tragic. I do understand, and her mind flashes to the child she just befriended, Meli. I would hate to bother any of these people. That's the truth. If she slips up, MLE and her family may get hurt, imprisoned, and experimented on the government. People, or villains, may come after them for possible knowledge and alien technology. She can't let that happen to them. It's just like what she promised All Might. If she's not careful, those she cares about could be targeted and put into harm's way. If I want to be a hero, then I need to respect all living beings no matter where they come from. That's right, this is just one more secret she has to keep from the public's knowledge. Now time to address the third secret she is willing to bear. And that's the same for you, Deku. I promise to never reveal the truth about the Omnitrix. Really? Although he always expected her to keep that part quiet, he is none the less appreciative of the gesture. Yes, I trust you, and it doesn't matter that you're quirkless, because with that thing you are definitely a hero. The cinnamon bun can't help but let tears prick his eyes. That's so kind of her to say. No one, not even his own family, have been able to look him in the eyes and say those words. Thank you, Uraraka, he sniffs, but he doesn't even bother to try and stop the tears. Thank you, thank you. Oh, come on now. There's no need to cry. 13 smiles softly to themselves as Ochako tries to cheer up the sniveling boy. It seems Midoriya was right about this one. They wait until Izuku finally calms down enough that the tears stop and he's able to wipe his face clean. Now on to the third reason you're here today. Ochako draws her attention back to the pro-hero. In case you haven't guessed it for yourself already, I am part of a covert law enforcement organization that monitors, regulates, and manages the alien population on Earth. Whoa, that's so cool. Ochako awes in amazement. She turns to Izuku, who nearly laughs at her expression of amazement. Are you part of this organization too, Deku? Izuku smiles humbly, not afraid to admit the facts. Not officially, but I'm working hard to make it in. He sheepishly rubs the back of his head. But there's a lot I need to learn first. 13 nods in agreement. You sure do, 13 agrees before eyeing the other possible trainee. The both of you. Now that throws Ochako for a loop. The both of us? Yes. Uraraka, if you don't mind, I would like to formally request for you to join our team. 13 holds a hand out to her as to literally reach out for her to accept the request. Join? Yes, it'd be great to have someone like you at our side, and I believe you have what it takes to become one of us. A space hero. That would be amazing. It almost seems too good to be true. Gosh, when did she become so lucky? First, she's entrusted with the future of Japan, but now she might just be entrusted with the fate of the whole world. That should scare her, it should terrify her, but it doesn't. Instead, she can feel the resolve swelling up within her. No, this is no burden, it is an honor. How could she look at herself in the mirror and call herself a hero when she turned her back on those that need her? But what if she's not cut out for this? Perhaps she's taking on too much. What if everyone is wrong about her? This is so much all at once. I don't know what to say. It's so much responsibility, and I'm not sure if I'm the right person for this. Izuku, he understands more than he cares to admit. After all, it was dumb luck that he got the Omnitrix in the first place. Who's to say that he deserves to have it? It was only from the praise and faith from others that he could even begin to think of the Omnitrix as his own. Uraraka, you are more than capable. It's true, she is more than worthy to be here with them. And now it's his turn to show someone else their true potential. You said that I'm a hero. Well, the same is true for you. Ochako gasps, not out of shock, but surprise. You have so much courage. You're so kind and selfless, and his confidence he started with is gone. But he has to say this. He has to tell her the truth. You're the first real friend that I've had in a long time. It hurts quite a bit to admit that, but it is of course the obvious truth. Kaken can't even view him as a human being in Henzu. You care about others, and these aliens, these people, they need someone like you, like us, to help them. To allow them to live their lives with smiles on their faces and without worry. Ochako's eyes widen. Something in her heart resonates from within her. You're right, of course, he is. That's why she dreams of being a hero, why she accepted All Might's legacy, and now this as well. 13. Yes? 13 snaps out of their lull. Shamefully, they went quiet while Ochako and Izuku each had their piece, and they figured it wasn't their place to interrupt. I accept your offer. Izuku's face lights up as if Christmas came early. Really? Yeah, let's do it, Deku. She shoots her fist into the air. We'll get into UA and then we'll become space heroes, and I promise that I'll never tell a soul about anything I learned here. Not the truth about the Omnitrix, aliens, or your secret organization. There's no doubt in her mind that she made the right choice today. And I promise to work hard. Her enthusiasm is so contagious, she even gets Izuku's blood pumping for some action. So, will I? He shoots his fist into the air, mimicking her movements. Ochako grins with anticipation. And our first step. We'll be getting into. Yua! They both cry out in unison. They exchange smiles, knowing full well that they'll both will most certainly make it to the top hero school in all of Japan. Ochako giggles in delight. I guess that makes us space cadets now. What? You know, space cadets, that's what we'll call ourselves. Izuku isn't too sure, but what's the harm? Oh, sure. Oh, by the way, Ochako tilts her head to the side, curious about something. Does your organization have a name? Izuku blanches. Oh, yeah, we sort of looked over that. I was hoping she wouldn't notice. Yeah. Oh, what is it? Seeing their Que-13 proudly steps in, and as if an imaginary banner suddenly appeared behind them, they proudly proclaim their alias. We're known as the Plumbers. They are so full of conviction that one can practically touch it. No, seriously, what is it? She says this with such a deadpanned expression. Izuku smiles in embarrassment as 13 instantly begins ranting away at the teen girl, feeling rather insulted by her comment. Things just became a whole lot more interesting. Hash 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 and flashback hash 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 hash. Izuku smiles with fondness of the memory. It really was a good day. It's been great having Ochako in on the secret. It's nice to have someone his age to bounce his thoughts on aliens, the Omnitrix, and quirks off of. Plus, it helps that she too is very passionate when it comes to the topic of anything related to aliens and outer space. It's so nice to see that other people can have a nerdy side too. It makes Izuku feel less like a freak and more like a normal human with normal feelings and tendencies. Of course, they did have to clear up a few things here and there. For example, he did of course have to explain how he came across the Omnitrix in the first place and why it won't come off his arm no matter what. 13 was excited to have someone else to train, but it would prove rather difficult since she lives a fair distance away. As it turns out, by mere luck, she had just acquired a new personal trainer. Apparently, it was some retired pro hero from America. Izuku was instantly on her, begging to know who it was and what was their quirk. But she was quick to deny him, stating that said hero would rather stay on the down low as to live their retirement in peace. Izuku wasn't convinced, but he didn't want to pry, so he let it go. Speaking of not knowing certain things, those unknown robots that kept coming after him seemingly have stopped coming. It's been months since the last one showed up. I wonder why. Maybe whoever was sending them just gave up or something. Asterisk screech asterisk. I may have spoken too soon, man, and just when he thought he was in the clear, another robot appears. The sound of screeching tires intensifies. Izuku turns around and spots a runaway delivery truck tearing its way down the street. As the speeding truck zooms by, Izuku spots the driver inside. He's panicking, screaming at the top of his lungs while trying to hit the brakes, but they're not working. Analyzing the situation quickly, Izuku realizes the issue. The other problem, however, is that there are no heroes present to stop the truck. There, it's up to him to stop it. He grips the Omnitrix, looking for the right alien. It may not be a robot, but it's no less an emergency, and it just got so much worse. Further down the street, a group of 3 people, it looks to be an older sister and her 2 much younger siblings, are strolling along the sidewalk, blissfully unaware of the out-of-control vehicle. And it just got a whole lot worse. Without a second to lose, Izuku's feet begin to move forward on their own. Sure, there's no way his own capabilities will get him there in time. There is, of course, an alternate route. Knowing this himself, Izuku activates his trusty Omnitrix and thus becoming the best-suited alien for the job. The older sister, after getting distracted by her baby sister's antics, looks up. And although she doesn't outwardly express her surprise, anyone can see the shock of dread course through after noticing the dangerously fast approaching truck. While in a panic, the driver sticks his head out the window while screaming out at the top of his lungs, "Get out of the way!" The sister doesn't panic, not now, not when her siblings are depending on her to save them. She lashes out her frog-like tongue, wrapping it around her siblings. The truck is way too close, there's no way she can get them all out of the way in time. Despite the low chance of success, she squats down. But why is she going to jump over the truck? Guess they'll never know, because there's no time to spare. Just before tragedy strikes, XLR-8 runs into action. And as if in slow motion, he grabs the frog-like girl just as she's about to launch herself and her siblings up. In a blink of an eye, XLR-8 carries the 3 away from the threat, dropping them off further up the street where the runway truck can't get to them. The older sister blinks, unsure of what just happened. XLR-8 wipes away imaginary sweat from his brow. Phew, that was a close one, huh? Asterisk screech, asterisk. Oops, still got one more thing to take care of. He flashes the trio a toothy grin. Take care of yourselves. Now, I gotta run. He zips away after the delivery truck, silently praising himself not only for saving their lives, but for his great line. Haha, nailed it. Was that supposed to be funny? The frog-like girl tilts her head to the side as she watches the blue lizard man sprint away. A few questions pop into her mind. Just who was that? She curiously watches on as a blue blur spins around the delivery truck. After a few seconds, the wheel pops right off and the truck drops down, its bottom grinding against the pavement as sparks fly out from its sides. The driver still continues to scream like a maniac even as the truck comes to a complete stop. Eventually, reality settles in and the driver passes out. He's exhausted after this crazy ordeal. His heart clearly can't take it. XLR-8 chuckles to himself on a job well done. Another day saved. Now I'm off to do more good deeds. And with a step to the side, he's off again to who knows where, with no plan other than to look for trouble and help those in need of it. Now this is what I've been working for. And now in less than a month I will be taking the UA entrance exam. He zigs and zags his way from road to road, leaving a trail of wind, disturbed papers and leaves, and a few smiling faces from people he helped out from painting a fence in less than 3 seconds, catching a rogue baseball before it can smash into a windshield, and distributing lost cat posters before finding and delivering the same cat back to her owner's arms. I will pass the exam, and when I do, then I'll really be on the right path to become a hero. The little girl gives him one of the biggest smiles he's ever seen as she holds her kitty closer to her chest. But for now, I'll happily settle for this. Yeah, the future is definitely looking up. Gah, where is he? In an abandoned construction project, a dark figure is throwing a tantrum, smashing his fists into several support beams. The sound of the bending iron echoes throughout the dark and damp basement, scaring away a few rats, including the big one in an orange jacket. Arjit nearly falls from his perch atop a barrel. Chill, man. He'll be here. He better be. The figure growls in annoyance. I'm tired of waiting. This guy better be worth it, especially after making me wait for months just so I can talk to him. My apologies for making you wait. A cool, collected voice full of mirth decides to let itself be known, followed by the tapping of expensive dress shoes against the cold concrete floor. But nonetheless, thank you for your patience. A middle-aged man of moderate height and slight build, with eyebrows that appear to be drawn up with notably squinted-looking pink eyes, approaches the duo. He has short gray hair parted to his right with side bangs hanging above his eyes, along with a small mustache and goatee on his chin, and one of his front teeth seems to be missing, leaving a gap in his grin. He's also wearing a pair of dress pants and a matching blazer, along with plain black shoes and a shirt which he leaves partially unbuttoned at the top. He has a thick, golden tube-like necklace along. He's also sporting a pair of circular glasses on his face. He pulls out a cigarette from his pocket, sticking it into his mouth. Please understand that I am a very busy man. He pulls out a lighter, igniting the end of his smoke. I have quite a lot of clients, and each one of them needs my attention. Be quiet, the figure snarls in annoyance. And don't act all polite, I know the type of things you deal with. The figure glares daggers at the much taller man trying to intimidate him. And the type of people you deal with, too. The man humorously smiles at the figure, his eyes wary yet full of interest. Nonetheless, I did take time to meet with you, did I not? He puffs out some smoke as he speaks. The figure doesn't find the man's sarcasm amusing, not whatsoever. Quite bullshitting me, old man. Old man, huh? I'm somewhat insulted by that, and yet has a grin on his face. Very well, the truth is I had to do some prior research on ya. He takes out the smoke, grinning like a murderer going in for the kill. Henzu Uichi. Henzu turns and glares at Arjit, his eyes screaming that he's tear the rat a new one for ratting him out. I told you not to tell him who I am. Wha? I didn't promise. Arjit scurries behind his perch, hopping the flimsy wood will protect him from Henzu's wrath. The man chuckles, regaining their attention. No need to blame the rat, although I can't say I blame ya. Arjit gaps at the man. Why is he always getting blamed for shit like this? The man continues. After all, I did some personal research of my own. Henzu eyes the man warily. And what did you learn? A lot, Jurin smiles, anticipating a reaction. And a lot of it was interesting. For example, you're an orphan, delinquent, and now a runaway with a versatile quirk to boot. You're really something, aren't ya? Henzu's fist balls up. He really hates it when people pry into his business. So, shall we get down to business? Just why did you make me come all the way down to this? He eyes the crumbling site. Fine establishment. I want in. Henzu states simply no ifs, whats, or buts about it. The man's smile falters, but he recovers, trying to pull off his friendlier facade. In? I'm afraid I don't follow. Just what is this kid after? Don't play dumb. Henzu smirks, knowing full well that he's in control now. After all, you're not the only one who did their research, Jurin. Jurin's smile drops. He doesn't bother disguising it either. letting the delinquent and the rat know that they are truly beginning to conduct their business. Over these past few months, I've been keeping myself busy learning some new tricks. Henzu rubs his arm. He can feel his muscles and vein bulge underneath his fingertips as a portion of his new strength flows through. But I've also become more aware of Japan's crime world, and did you know a good number of criminals here in Musatafu has been going silent, as if they've all just disappeared? Jiren tenses up. Just how much does this kid know? I know it was you. You've been recruiting criminals from all over. Jiren clears his throat before speaking. Even if I was, how would you even know about it? Henzu outright scoffs at the question. I have my ways, namely my newly acquired skills. Yeah, that tiny frog guy is way more useful than he originally thought. And what luck he accidentally spotted Jiren talking to some lowlife in an abandoned building. So now what? I already told you, I want in on whatever it is you're doing. He points a finger at Jiren as if to make sure he's listening. More specifically, I want to meet whomever it is you're working for. What? You said it yourself, you have a lot of clients. Am I wrong to assume one of them hired you to do some recruitment? Jiren scowls. Just what is this kid's deal? If so, with the large number of criminals you've already gathered, it's got to be for some big operation, right? Henzu seems almost too excited about this. Meanwhile, Arjit watches on while silently becoming more and more nervous. It's possible things might go south and quick, especially when Henzu is involved. And if it is, Jiren's voice softened, he's a bit wary now of this punk. Well, I think my skills will greatly benefit your employer. Osmosis, that's your quirk, right? It definitely has its uses, but I can't guarantee an audience. That is the truth. Most of the guys he found haven't even met their leader yet. They just happen to fear the true mastermind. I wasn't talking about osmosis. Henzu interrupts. Now that's a surprise. Without a word, Henzu's whole entire right arm changes, morphing into something inhuman. It becomes gray with scales, a narrow fin shoots out from his elbow, and his finger become razor-sharp claws. With no provocation, Henzu swerves around, digging his claws right through another metal support beam, slashing it, leaving a massive gap in its side. What the hell was that? Did he absorb some weird metal or something? Henzu continues. This time his arm becomes black in color, but a red-like shell encases his forearm, leading up to sharp gray fingers. He takes aim and fires out a powerful stream of water at the wall. After a few seconds, he cuts off the water to reveal a crater inside his target. Jiren pulls out another cigarette and sticks it between his teeth, letting this new piece of information to process. Now that changes things. He lights the smoke, enjoying its flavor. You got it, kid. I'll get you your audience. Henzu's grin like a kid that was promised a trip to the circus. Just answer me one thing. Why? Henzu's smile widens, revealing a row of enlarging fangs. Honestly, it sounds like a lot of fun. Haha. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through What If Quirkless Deku Got Omnitrix. I hope you found it as intriguing and thought-provoking as we did. A big shout-out to Guardian-Sigil for crafting such a compelling story. Don't forget to check out their profile on fanfiction.net for more amazing works. The link is in the description below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to What If Deku 2.0 for more fascinating explorations into the world of fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we're always excited to hear your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you guys in the next video.